Yes.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
The three-dimensional world which you inhabit can be bent to your will only when you enter the fifth dimension.
Are you ready to enter the fifth dimension, Tasha Kredl?
I'm already here.
Let's rock. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Fellow time travelers. We have a new friend in the fifth dimension hanging with us. Mm-hmm. Her name is Tasha Kredl. Mm-hmm. And she's going to blow your mind today. She's going to talk to you about monergy. She's going to talk to you about manifesting your reality. Mm. She's going to teach me some things that I don't know. She's going to teach us all something.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I can't believe we just started without talking or anything.
I know. I mean, I'm not really surprised.
That's a lie.
Okay.
I can't lie on the podcast.
I mean, you can, but sometimes it's just like, you're so good at not masking, but like...
Who, like me or people in general?
You.
What do you mean me?
Like you're really good at putting on this like persona sometimes that I'm like, is he joking? Is he for real?
Oh, do you mean in person or do you mean
always.
like on social media?
Whatever it is.
I guess I have a very dry sense of humor.
But it's good.
So you have to be extremely intelligent to know if I'm joking or not?
Exactly. Which is a good sign for me. That means I'm intelligent, right?
Well, you're absolutely intelligent. Obviously. Absolutely.
How are you, Mick?
You know what? I'm doing pretty good. Despite the world being at a very weird place, I'm very fortunate to have been pretty much thriving throughout this this downfall of society.
In this new space.
Oh, yeah.
This new space.
Oh, I like that. See, look, you're on the ball. I love it. I love it. But yeah, since lockdown happened, I flew back from California. And the first few weeks, the first few weeks where we thought we were just going to die because we didn't know what was going on.
Oh my God.
Right? It was like, It was dark and gray.
Yeah.
But then after that, after a few weeks at home, I said, I need to create some responsibility for myself. And I was lucky enough to find this place. It fell in my lap at the right time.
Always does.
Always does. And here we are a few months later, started a podcast and boom.
Boom.
What about you?
Oh, what about me? I'm saying that in a bad way. I'm not trying to say like in a big sigh in like a negative way. But what about me? I mean, COVID has been so good for me. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. There's so much happening right now, which is like, especially the last couple of days. I actually just came back from hosting my first retreat. And a lot of people are like,
so you hosted this retreat?
I hosted a retreat.
Okay, so there's absolutely no reason to go in any specific order. And I want to hear about this retreat that you hosted.
Yes.
So tell me about the retreat.
So it was actually pretty weird because, I was in California for 3 months. I went in July when I realized that the borders were not actually closed because I was told I was not able to go because the borders were closed, right?
So who told you that?
The government.
But they weren't.
No. Like what you see on the news is basically like Canada, US closed. You cannot go. And I'm like, shit, wait, can I swear on this podcast?
It's encouraged.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck. And then, because my mom lives there and you know that. So then when I realized, I was like, wait a second, like there's flights to California. Like why? Like, I don't understand. And then when you actually do the research, you see that the driving border is closed, but the flying border is open. So I was like,
really?
What the fuck? So then I just booked my ticket and I went and I got one question at the border. What are you doing over there? I'm going to see my mom. Okay, enjoy. And I'm like, huh?
That was it?
That was it.
Okay, so how busy was the airport?
Dead.
Okay, so were you the only one on your flight?
So no direct flights to LA. My first flight, there was 4 people in the plane. Second flight, it was packed. And we're all sitting next to each other.
Okay, second flight was packed.
Packed.
Okay, where'd you fly through?
Chicago. And then on my way back through Vancouver. And both of those flights were packed.
Okay.
Like there and back.
So the flight to Chicago, not packed?
Yeah, and
the
then
flight from
Chicago to LA packed, and then LA to Vancouver packed.
Okay.
And Vancouver, Montreal, dead.
All right.
So weird. So anyways, I spent 3 months in California, which was freaking awesome. So whatever you hear about LA and how much is this shit show, it's not true.
Okay.
It's really not. It's like, of course you see like the regular people kind of freaking out and like having their masks on, but like restaurants are open, bars are open, like people are having fun, like they're just doing their thing, and like numbers are dropping. I don't know. Whatever.
It's so hard to keep track of what's going on.
Oh my God.
It's,
You have no
especially
idea.
if I don't watch the news, so I have no idea what's going on.
I have no idea, but everybody thought I was crazy for going. So like that was a little interesting because like, oh my God, where are you going? Oh, you're going to LA? Like, how dare you? Like, oh my God, it's going to be so bad. Like, how can you go in such a big hotspot? And I was like, I don't care. Like, I really don't. Like, I trust my body and my intuition and my gut and my heart. And it was telling me to go. And I was like, all right, like I'm going. That's it. So I went over there and it was amazing. And a lot of healing actually got done the first month and a half, which was pretty intense for me.
Care to elaborate?
Yes. So maybe I should say a little side note.
Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do? Tasha Kredl.
So,
tell us about yourself.
Okay, so the one way I can really describe myself, I guess, because I really don't like to put labels or like titles on anything, because I find it really restrictive. But I was able to find a word that puts it in like a bubble, I guess. So I now call myself a self-healing coach. I teach energy, and I also teach breathwork and meditation.
Very nice.
Thank you. So I love my job so much. And so as I got there, I had a lot of wounds that came up with my mom because I live by myself, right? So as I'm in LA, like I'm with her, she has a home, obviously. So a lot of things came up for the both of us, which was really interesting. Things that I didn't really think about for a really long time. And like, because this is also my work, it was pretty shocking that I had like more that came up to the surface. And like, I was like, oh my God, like I thought I did this work, but it was more and more and more. So I worked with some plant medicine, which was really nice. And it helped me a lot to just clear the way and make some space for better things in my life energetically. And so that's what I did. And then the other month and a half was just pure flow, pleasure, fun, freedom, abundance, prosperity, lots of opportunities. And that's what always happens when you do inner work every single time.
Okay. All right. So
there's a lot of things coming up.
But it's good. It's good. Because
Right.
part of like the reason that you do what you do is because we are a work in progress always. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're a coach because and is that accurate?
Of what?
Coach?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. What was the exact term you used?
Coach.
A
Self-healing coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a self-healing coach. That's a product of you learning about yourself constantly and improving and applying these things that you apply to yourself and that you read to help others who are seeking this kind of help.
Yeah.
So it never ends.
Oh no.
Like it's like the deeper you go, the more pixels you find, and they get smaller and smaller, and you can go. The rabbit hole goes. I feel like it's user generated. Like you could if you choose some rabbit hole, regardless of what it is, whether it's self-healing or conspiracy theories.
Yep.
You can go down rabbit holes, and it's almost the way I see it. Like you're going. It's almost like you're creating the thing that you're looking for because there's no end to it. It's not like, oh, I figured it out. And nothing in this world, nothing in this third dimension is like that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's actually like one of the first things I ask when somebody wants to work with me, because I get a lot of like, I want to be healed. And like, to me, that's the biggest red flag, because I'm like, there's nowhere to be. And if you're working with me and you expect to be in a space where you're fully healed, you're chasing something that doesn't exist. And for me, that's playing with fire. So it's more about understanding like what's blocking you energetically, working through that, and then going in a direction that feels effortless and fluid and graceful, and understanding that your life will be in that energetic container for as long as you want. But it's basically when you're healed and done doing the work, you leave this planet. You know, like your physical body, that's when you
that's
die.
really the end of the game.
That's what I think personally.
That's a great perspective, because we never stop learning, we never stop growing until it's lights out in this.
And that's the thing, right?
Dimension.
Like this dimension is here for us to play the game. It's here for us to understand, the different lessons and challenges and people and experiences and teach and learn. We're all teachers and the students all at once. And it is really a game. So anything that you're attached to on a personal, very deep wounded level, you're going to have to heal that, or else you're just going to keep coming back. So whether you want to call it like a game or the Matrix, or like, the Buddhists call it like karma, like it's the same thing.
So you're saying you're going to keep repeating the patterns until you deal with it.
100%.
Because you can, like, perhaps in a sense, you thought that there was a lot of healing that was already done between you and your mother. But as soon as you went back together, you realized, perhaps the separation, us living on our own in different countries was the true healing. But it wasn't. It was just that you weren't getting on each other's fucking nerves.
Exactly.
But then once you're cooped up together,
it's like it's whatever showed up for the both of us was at the perfect time. Like there was no other, everything prior was like we were doing our own work individually, and my mom and I are really close. And also, side note, she's also a coach, so that helps a lot. She's also in the same field, but works with different kind of energy and people and concepts. But whatever showed up was just, like, do I go into this? Do I talk about this a little bit?
Why not?
I don't know. I guess we have all the time in the world now, right?
dealing with issues with parents, or things that you have to work on with parents, I think is a very relevant topic.
It is.
And
it's for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think, okay, so first of all, another thing, the red flag that I see with people is like, let's say I start working with a client. I'm like, okay, so let's talk a little bit about, your childhood. And they go, oh, no. Like my childhood was perfect. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like avoidance, suppressing, repressing something, the mind is very smart. The ego is very smart. The subconscious is very smart. So, I did a lot of like inner child healing. There was a lot of things that showed up for me in the last couple of years. But a lot around my dad, because my dad was a pilot. He was very, I'm going to keep his privacy a little bit. So I'm trying to find his words properly.
Give us his social insurance number.
Speaking of, I keep getting like these calls about like,
yeah, they're bullshit.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
I had a lot of kind of, as a child, basically what happens is that your ego, you come in as a pure vessel, right? Like you're pure love. Like you are a sponge to the world. You definitely take on traumas and things from your parents. Like it is passed down through your DNA. So I do think that it starts with that first. And then our egos are created, our perspectives are created as we grow up. And that's why it's really important that you take the time to understand your own child's perspective. And I'm not saying your child as in like your own child. I'm saying your inner child, like you as a kid, because your perspective back then was valid. So you could have the same trauma or experience happen to two different kids, and one is traumatized for life and the other is chilling, like nothing happened. So my point is that when my dad was always leaving for work, I basically felt very much abandoned. I would actually hold my breath and make myself pass out.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he would have to pick me up by my foot and shake me for me to wake up. And then he would go to work. Like that's how, and like for the longest time, I knew this story and I would just laugh about it. I'm like, how ridiculous is that? Ha ha ha. And then this trip, I'm like, not so ridiculous.
Yeah. And so it's not always that like the parent did something to do it hard. It's just that you're super sweet, innocent child that hasn't experienced the world and built up the defense mechanisms yet, treats it like it's a huge disaster to their love, or it's a
threat.
Yeah, it's a threat. It's a it's like they let you down. It's very dramatic.
It
right?
is very, very dramatic. The mind is very dramatic, very much so.
And it has no point of reference, right? So
none. So
everything ranks on level 12 drama
all the time. But what's really interesting about kids is that if you look at any kid having a tantrum, they're going to have their tantrums. They're going to do their thing. They're going to feel it out. They're going to grieve it. And then all of a sudden they just like run off and like have the time of their lives. Right. But what's really interesting about that change in between is that they let themselves feel it. They have their tantrums. And in our society, having a tantrum, having an emotional breakdown, feeling emotions, expressing emotions, demonstrating emotions is suppressed. We're like, nope, don't be emotional, don't be psycho, don't be that person. Like we put labels on all those things, right? So then we don't feel we need to feel, and then we suppress it and whatever, it can go on forever. But so basically my child perspective was very much around my dad. And because my mom and I are so close, I never really thought I needed to do work around that, because I was like, we're chill, we're on great terms. Like I've obviously, like my trauma's probably around my dad, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized this trip that I've been, what I call now, it's a new concept I talk about a lot, spiritually sugarcoating bullshit.
Spiritually sugarcoating bullshit. All right.
So I was spiritually
Enlighten me.
sugarcoating my relationship and trauma with my mom by saying constantly that everything is fine. Like we're on great terms. Why would I have trauma around it? There's nothing that shows up. There's no triggers. But that was my way to mask in my mind what I was actually suppressing, which my mom, when I was 7 years old, started her own business. And both my parents were entrepreneurs. So that's probably why I have it in my blood.
Makes sense.
Which I'm so grateful for. But she went from being an at-home mom to a full-time business owner. And I definitely was forgotten at school. Maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for an hour. I don't remember, but I remember it happening. I remember just certain things here and there, like I'm trying to talk to her and she's on the phone, or we're in the car and I'm trying to show her something, she's talking to somebody else, or she can't come to my school activities because she has work. So there was a lot of resentment around work that I didn't fully acknowledge. And because this whole time it was all about my dad, I wasn't allowing myself to feel that about my mom. So when I was
it your ego just
spiritually sugarcoating bullshit?
Yeah, because the ego doesn't want you to get to the root of the problem, right? Mm-mm. So you could keep blaming your poor dad for everything. Meanwhile, the ego's being fed by these unkept wounds that were from your mom.
Completely. So that was, and it only showed up when it was really whatever I had towards my dad was gone. And actually more of that showed up afterwards, which was really interesting. So I realized when I was in Cali, I had like these triggers where I would like be really impatient with her out of nowhere. Or I'd feel like if I'm trying to talk to her and she's like, I'm on a call or something, I'd feel that like
that same burn that you had when you were a kid.
Anger of just like, what the fuck, But like, I obviously understand. I do the same fucking work. Like, what is wrong with me? So
you can recognize that you're being unreasonable.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you feel it and you have no idea why.
No, yeah. And I'm at a point in my journey now that I've done enough work where I can feel it and address it coming from an observant side. So it's like I'm looking in, I'm going, what is this? Like, what is happening right now? Like, it's in my chest, it's moving, it feels fiery, and I'll talk about it, which I think takes a lot of pressure off of the experience, whatever that is. Totally. So I spoke to her about it. I was like, I think there's something that needs to, show up. So I used one of my tools that I've learned from a book that I forget what it's called, but I think it's called something to do with inner child. I don't know what. But basically what you do is that when there is a trigger coming up about your inner child, you meditate on, really bringing her forward or him forward, asking her to speak to you, to show up in your body, to just bring her forward, basically. And then you bring your journal and you write a question with your dominant hand. So what I did is that I asked her how old she was, and then I would answer as my inner child with my opposite hand. And so the answers that always, honestly, it's so weird because it happens so clearly. It's almost like two sides of your brain. Your adult self with your child self is having a conversation about your trauma.
And so you're writing the question with your dominant hand in your adult voice.
Yes.
Speaking to your child, your inner child, and your inner child is answering with your non-dominant hand.
Yes.
And first of all, the answer written with your, let's say my left, is always going to look like a kid wrote it.
Exactly.
So that must be freaky just reading it anyway.
It's so weird.
But what do you get out of it?
So I'm like, okay, obviously there's a trauma, but I can't even tell how old I am. And I need to figure that out. So I wrote down okay, how old are you? 7 years old. I'm like, 7. I'm like, I don't remember what happened at 7. I'm like, okay. So I keep going. I'm like, where are you? At school. I'm like, how do you feel? She goes, I'm sad. I said, why? She said, Mom forgot about me. And I wrote, is there anything I can do for you? She says, no. I'm like, can I be there for you? She says, yes. I'm like, okay. And I said, are you angry? Yes. Are you sad? Yes. So now I'm like getting really clear on like the emotions.
And you're not thinking about the answers. You're just
I'm just going for it. Yeah.
Wow.
Like I'm not even like hesitating one bit.
That's free.
It's so honestly, like I would highly suggest to anybody to do this.
I feel like I'm wound up too tight to like, I want to control everything.
I think, well, I thought so too, but like I just gave myself permission to try. And I think that was where most of the power came from, you know?
Do you think that this is a nice segue to time travel, but do you think that like if life is a loaf of bread and you're, let's say, I don't want to say halfway through because you're not halfway through, but let's just say 38% through and you're speaking to the child that's 10% through, you're still all on this loaf of bread. Are you changing well, you are changing the timeline because you addressing that child back in the day is creating a new timeline now. So is dealing with your issues is it in essence creating another reality for you, a better reality where this inner child, like let's say that inner child is existing right now because time doesn't exist, and you're speaking to little Tasha Kredl, who's 7 years old, and and she's all sad because her mom left her at school.
Yeah.
Like you're sending those waves back. So now she's feeling better for some reason. She has no idea why. And that just transformed you in the present.
That's actually a really cool way to put it.
Do you know what I mean?
I really agree with that.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I guess in my brain, the way that I saw it is like, I'm energetically clearing the way of whatever things that were not solved, right, at the time. So therefore, as I welcome it, then I can move it and heal it and clear it and then embody whatever I want to embody now because I have the space for it. That's the way I thought about it, which is still relevant, I think. But the way that you also explain it is actually makes a lot of sense too, which I think, you know, they say that like your path is already kind of aligned or whatever. Like you're already like whatever shows up will be what it will be kind of thing, which I completely agree with. But I also believe that, you know, you have a choice at any point in time. Like anything can happen. And I don't think your path is set in stone. I don't think so. I think I mean, maybe, I don't know. This could be a very interesting conversation, but.
Well, I think that our path is both set in stone and totally free at the same time, because like my like magic card out of it is that there's infinite possible realities. And at this present moment, it's a junction. And every present moment is the ability to hop onto a different highway.
So what do you think shows up that will, I guess, kind of like drift you in certain directions or give you that choice?
Well, I guess there's always a choice in the moment.
But like, let's say like what's popping up in my mind is like, I mean, the biggest thing at the end of the day, like let's say we're going in a straight line, and the only time that we get to make a choice is if a situation shows up, right? And usually a situation involves a person.
Doesn't involve yourself?
It does, always, but it's always a type of relationship, right? It's always you with somebody else. And even like a work opportunity, it's still you with different people, right? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I immediately always think about other things. I always think about the choices. Let's say I'm home, I have a choice to go for a run or watch TV.
Right.
I have a choice to go to sleep early or eat shit. Like so the choice is always, it's
yours.
Yeah. Like in my head, it's another person is always secondary.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm a selfish piece of shit.
No, not at all.
But the choices are like, I'm usually the ones who sets myself on the wrong course and then I have to hike back.
Right.
It's me. It's never
somebody else.
It's never someone else.
Right. So I definitely wasn't saying that because I completely agree. Like it's always your choice. But I mean, like I'm talking about, let's say you want to move to New York to work on a new job or a new opportunity or something like that. All of a sudden, let's say there's like a person that comes through your life, a partner, potential partner that lives here. And then you're like, oh shit, like what do I stay here? Do I take the job in New York? Like there's always something somewhere, somehow that shows up, something that shows up that can kind of drift you into a different direction in your life, which can completely create another path. So, but is that part of the path itself? Or do you have multiple choices in different dimensions and realities?
I think there's infinite paths.
Right. Okay.
Like whatever you can imagine exists.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a video game is created.
Yep.
And some people will never go into a certain level and never interact with a certain player, and some will. But every option exists.
Right.
Like everything that you can fathom.
Yep.
Like the most beautiful things in the world that you can imagine are being done right now, and the most horrendous things that you couldn't even imagine are happening as well. Everything is happening. So that means everything is possible. Every junction in the road, every possible relationship or decision that you have to make based on a relationship or yourself, they all exist.
Right.
It's just about like it's like fungi in nature. As it spreads, it just starts interacting.
Fungi is like,
I just read this book by Merlin
magic.
Sheldrake. It's unbelievable.
I'm sure mushrooms are fucking magic.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
They're
I had a
literally-
fun time with mushrooms last week, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Dude, we should do
4
a trip.
times.
4 times.
Microdose.
Oh, okay. I'm not talking about microdose.
Yeah.
But we should go on a trip together.
Oh, that would be great.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And we could talk about it.
Yeah. We'll film it.
Oh my God, that'd be a shit
Yeah,
show.
I don't know about that. We'd be done after 4 hours and be like, oh, fuck, we didn't record.
We'll think it'd be like 1 minute that just passed. But okay, so this is my question. Out of like this whole like kind of weird cycle, whatever that we were getting into. Because, okay, so they say that you come into this earth with already like, I wouldn't say a purpose, but like there's a reason why you're here, right?
So who says this? Who's they?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, just a general
Let's
they.
just like
Let's say like
a
spiritually,
thing.
philosophically.
Exactly. Like they say, like you come here for a reason, a purpose, blah, 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 a why.
That
okay?
reason gives you a purpose,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes. I also believe, side note, that your purpose is just to be alive and to be here and to experience. Point final. Like there's nothing else to it. A lot of people chase their purpose thinking it's going to be this big thing, and it's full of fucking shit.
Yeah, I have a very cold-blooded, funny perspective. That's probably kind of true. Mm-hmm. And not in a spiritual, but more in a practical of why we're here.
Yes.
We're just the next civilization, like the next species
We are.
who are building the grid. We're connecting cable like fungi does. We're connecting the network of the planet.
We are.
We're wiring it. Everything we do, like you have a podcast. You when you upload and people are downloading it, all those thousands of people who are downloading your podcast, or the people who will be streaming this podcast, or the shows that we watch, or the coaching clients that you do on Zoom or whatever. Everyone is contributing to strengthening the infrastructure of the cable network and the connected world.
1000%.
So what are we really doing? We're building
spreading.
we're building the internet for the future cyborg race that's coming,
damn.
which is kind of like inevitable. But you know what I mean? So
Yes,
it's like
yes.
we're like little ants.
100%.
And if there was this like far-reaching civilization that's like way ahead of us, that's looking at us, they're like, oh, look at these ants do these things. Like while we think we have like relationship problems or mom problems or this problems, we're really just contributing to strengthening the grid so that it's ready to birth AI. And, and we're the
100%
Neanderthals.
agree.
And like, this is so annoying, but like I've always said Neanderthals. Yeah, apparently it's Neanderthals. It's a silent H. So for all you out there,
Wow.
it's Neanderthals. But
the
don't I
more you
sound
know.
pompous as
Yes,
fuck?
you do. You really do.
Neanderthals. So like we're the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens are coming.
Interesting.
But I have a positive outlook on that too. And what a deviation we just took.
I know, right? But what else
that's
is
what
new?
this is all about.
This is how we talk.
Yeah, that's how we talk. So I see a positive thing because we are the hamsters in the wheel that are turning that wheel, and the AI is probably going to use us as like as a resource. So yeah, they're powering the grid.
Yeah.
So let them think that politics matter. Let them think that their job path fucking matters.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be powering the eventual spread of AI civilization that we birthed. That's going to go off far into the universe and like terraform the rest of the planets.
Right.
So
Interesting.
So really what that really means is nothing.
Nothing.
It changes nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
Okay, so I want to talk about Indra's net after.
Okay, so
But we're going to go back to what we were just talking
so
about.
you were
before.
talking about they say that we come here for a purpose, and then
Yes.
I cut you off.
Yes. So no, that's perfect. That was because it's actually leading me to something else after. So we come here for a purpose, a reason.
This is
Whatever.
getting good, huh?
Yeah, it is
Oh,
getting
fuck
good.
yeah. I was a little nervous. I'm always so nervous, you know? Every time I see you, I'm nervous.
Oh, are you? No.
I'm always
Really?
No, not really. But you know, at the beginning,
I was like,
as like
what?
my friend Rob says, you got to grease the groove first before you get
Grease
in.
it,
I
man.
think we're in it now.
We've greased it.
Yeah,
We're here.
we greased it. RT Fitwell, yes.
So we come here for a reason. There's a purpose, blah, blah, blah. And every person that you meet, you guys have already, they call it a soul contract, where you have created literally a contract before you came here in the physical form to meet again, to have a certain purpose, to really expand consciousness if you choose to. So you and I, 100%, we're one of those people.
You think we were bros?
1,000%.
In a
Like,
different- in a different time
you're
and
gonna
place?
invite me on your podcast. I'll invite you on my podcast.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about all this shit and help people wake up and just
Well,
travel.
It's so
and-
casual,
It is casual.
fellow time traveler.
And yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's
And so to me, it's like every person, I'm sure whoever is listening to this, I'm sure they have had a moment where they meet somebody and they go, oh my God, I've met this person before. This feels very familiar, whether it's a past partner or a family member or a sister, whatever, a brother, or even a coworker. It doesn't matter. But they, whether you want to listen to David R. Hawkins talking about consciousness or Ram Dass who talks about death, when we die, it's only the physical body that dies, but our consciousness is still there. And it's just continuously recirculating back into this earth. And Indra's net for the Hindus, they literally say that it is concept, not even just a concept, it's literally a way of thinking about consciousness, that every single consciousness is interconnected together. So there is actually no dying or rebirthing. There just is. And
everything is recycling constantly.
Constantly.
All your experiences,
Yep.
like the Akashic records.
Yes.
I see that as the 5D cloud.
Yes.
And it's like every experience that we're living, everything that we're doing, every plant, animal, rock, whatever, is
Everything.
feeding into this thing, and it's
Yes.
the all-knowing. And that's how I see evolution happening, is that it's feeding back.
It is.
Or it's guiding you.
Yeah. And then so you have like the Hindus, the Buddhists, they literally say that karma's a thing, right? Like you'll come back with karma or whatever. But it's the same concept where it's like we have this consciousness, we have like, you meet some people and they have like really like you can feel they've been here multiple times. There's a lot of knowledge to them. You meet kids, they're 4 years old and they're talking about shit that like no adults talk about. You're like, what the fuck? Like, how is this kid talking about this? How does he know? How does he see? It's because he's not new to this. His consciousness is not new. It's just, again, another recycled consciousness. It just chose a different body. So, and I think this is why we experience a lot of, people who are transgenders or who are quote unquote lesbians or gays. Like, it's not that they are, it's just that consciousness that is embodying a different type of energy and they chose that physical body for a specific reason in order to heal their consciousness one at a time. So even like deep inner work, child healing work, whatever you want to call it, meditation, whatever, everything comes back down to consciousness. And even physical issues like your body, this is really mind fucking. Listen to this.
I'm ready.
Your body, your arm, does not have the ability to experience the armness of the arm. It is just being an arm, right? Mm-hmm. So what is moving the arm? What is experiencing the sensations in the arm?
What is experiencing it? Mm-hmm. Is it our brain?
Right. And then there's what's experiencing the brain.
I don't know, the symphony of neurons firing back at each other, and
right.
Or our soul.
So yes and no. But what I learned that really changed the way that I look at the body is that considering it doesn't have a way of experiencing itself, that it has to be the mind experiencing the sensations of the body, right? And then you think, so what's the intelligence behind the mind? What's experiencing the mind? And it's actually consciousness. Consciousness itself is experiencing the mind, which is experiencing the body. And then you think, what's experiencing the consciousness? And it's the awareness. The awareness is experiencing the consciousness that is experiencing the mind that is experiencing the body and then all the sensations within it.
All right. So what the hell does that mean?
This means that...
How many layers of feeling?
Okay, so awareness. Oh, here we're on camera. Awareness, consciousness, mind, body, sensations.
Okay. So like you touch your finger, there's a receiver here, and this is going...
Up into the brain,
yes,
up into the mind. And then you have this consciousness that's experiencing the mind. And then you have the awareness that is experiencing the consciousness in the mind and in the body and in the sensations. My point is that every problem we have in our body is actually a dis-ease in consciousness.
Okay.
And it just shows up in the body because that's the only way that the human mind can understand that there's a dis-ease in the consciousness.
So it has to show it to us in our body,
yes,
so that we can
finally be like, oh, fuck.
So
like,
it's how it sends a signal or like an alarm.
Yes.
Like you're driving in your
Something
car
is
and the engine light is on.
Yes, completely.
So it's not going to tell you something's wrong.
Nope.
But
I mean, it could.
If you develop yourself, right? You can, like I always describe it as you're in your car and you're in a 20-year-old car and there's no, you hot over there?
I'm hot, man. Is this light? Like, is it just me?
It is you.
Okay. I'm just like so warm. It's okay.
So when you're in your car and you are driving outside the lane,
right?
An old car doesn't go like to bring you back in the lane. You drive and you end up in the ditch. You know, if you weren't paying attention, you're like, oh, fuck. But a new car has the lane assist, right? So that to me is a metaphor for being more mindful or more aware. And you can catch yourself before you fall or before you drive in the ditch. So it's kind of like that, right? So a lot of people get sick, they get some kind of, I don't know, tumor, they get constantly, they get colds, they get whatever. And you're saying that that's potentially to show them something else, to show them that, hey, you got some work to do. You need to address a problem here that's affecting your awareness or your consciousness.
Consciousness. Your awareness is the one that gets to experience the consciousness.
Okay.
In your body.
So if your awareness is developed, can you figure that out faster?
Yes, absolutely. So, and unfortunately, we live in a society where cancer and autoimmune diseases are very, very, very normal. Anxiety, depression. It's like, oh yeah, I have anxiety. Like, and it just makes it normal. And I often remind people on my social media as much as I can that we're self-healing organisms. You have a cut on your finger, you don't have to do shit. Your body heals itself. There is no difference between that and cancer. There is none. So what's blocking it? And there is no coincidence behind anything. But if you look at the way that the Eastern world has gone about healing, so whether you want to look at energy or chakras or the Buddhist way of living and, Ram Dass's teachings or whatever, it's always the same thing. Even Joe Dispenza, it's the same thing where energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is just there. It can only be transmuted into something different. So within our bodies, the dis-ease in consciousness for cancer, for example, it's a lot of suppressed emotions. It's a lot of suppressed energy. If you keep trying, if you look at a box, the images I just showed up in my mind was that if you look at a box and your body's a box and you just keep shoving things inside that actually want to get out, you're just suppressing, and this gets really hard and dense, and one day it will explode because there's just too much in there. That's what happens with humans. And the problem is that we, like I said, we keep dimming down the emotional aspect of experiencing life. Girls specifically, men too. Like, you guys are not allowed to cry. Like, it's weird if you guys cry. It doesn't make any sense. You don't show emotions, bro. Women, it's like, don't be a psycho bitch. Don't go there. You know how they react. And it's like, what if we just normalized experiencing emotions? How bad would that be? It's actually extremely healthy. But if we really want to go into depth of it, of course, like, we have pharma who like literally makes so much money off of all of us being so sick. Why the fuck would they tell us that we can heal ourselves? That's the last thing they want.
Well, in defense of big pharma, which is, and it's not, it's just to show another perspective. It's like for them to be, sure, they're making money because we are humans, and the trade-off of living in a society where we have really abundance. Our problem is abundance. We have too much internet access. We have too much, we have everything that we ever want. We have a car, we have a house, we have electricity, we have technology, we can make a podcast, we can do all this stuff. So like developing technology and all this stuff, the trade-off is that you take humans who are animal, who need to experience, who need to be outside, who need to challenge themselves on a daily basis, both physically and mentally.
And emotionally.
And emotionally and everything. But that will come naturally with it.
Do you think so? But it was interesting that your brain went to the 2 before that one.
I never think of emotions.
I know.
Because I guess there's a lot of work to do here. But the idea is the trade-off of having a civilization is that people are going to have to live in a box. You're going to take animals and put them in a cage. And we all live in our own cage. We all live in a house. We all live in our box. We all do our thing. We all have a routine. And we have to work so hard to like live in this society, in the normal world, and then try to figure out how to live more like a caveman or a cave person or whatever. So big pharma is just like, well, there's a shitload of people here who are never going to fix themselves. And they're in the box, they're in the wheel. We're just going to give them a plug that'll just keep them going. And so it's like, there's always going to be people selling cigarettes as long as people want to smoke them.
Yep.
As long as there's demand, there will be supply. But are they the people who are going to, like, it's so hard. You're a coach. You do it on yourself. I do it on myself. How it's so hard to get ourselves to be able to do this work. You think they're worried about like doing that kind of work to change people? It's like, no, like this market exists. Let's just fuck it.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I just think it's like suppressing so many people. And I think the whole point of us being here at the end of the day, whichever way you want to put it, is to raise consciousness. It is to create a better world. And COVID has showed us that we need a better system. It doesn't work. And this is where we're at. I call this the year of truth. And there is no coincidence why we're here experiencing all these different types of systems being tested and poked. And are they going to fail? Are they going to, fall apart and restructure? Like, look at BLM. Like, we needed to restructure the whole racism aspect, or even just that. Like, how much did you hear of like unlearning? I'm like, okay, this is actually great, because this unlearning aspect of racism is a way for people to understand that what they have learned growing up is actually not true. Most of it.
But everything that we've learned growing up is pretty much not true.
I know, but people don't know that. So I thought when BLM happened and the whole unlearning thing happened, I was like, fuck yes. Because now people get to see like, wait a second. So what my dad told me this time and that time and what I was taught in school was not true. Like, huh? And for us, that feels normal, but there are so many people that have no idea that that's even a thought.
I'm sure years ago, like when you started this whole turnaround of like your previous lifestyle, for example, for this new one.
Yeah.
You, in those early years, I'm sure you were finding out things all the time about yourself, about your parents, about the world that were fucked, that you realized were not true. Like things that you believed in and the way you lived were just untrue, right? But I think, this has been a year where people are learning that not everything is what they think it is. Yeah. And so it's been like a big bubble. So like you said, like when things compress or suppress within this like box and they explode, 2020 is like
it's an explosion.
It's an explosion. It's everything at the same time. And it'll serve as a big awakening for people. Yeah. And like a lot of things about it all starts with health, really. Like if you can.
So wait, remember what I told you about sensations in the body and the awareness in the mind?
Yeah.
So if it all starts with health, what is behind the health?
What is behind the health?
Yeah, like health, like your mental health, physical health, everything. What's behind that? What controls that?
Your consciousness.
Yeah. So it's actually just all consciousness.
So is this a consciousness, like awareness explosion that's happening? It's like, boom. Because there's a lot of people out there who are preaching the good word.
Oh, I know.
Like there's a lot. There's me.
know.
Like I do it in a really fucked up way, so no one even knows I'm doing it.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is Mick doing?
Yeah,
I don't
who is this
understand.
guy? But like you're overt about what you do, but I'm an artist, right? So I play within the
I
lines.
love if
within
only
weird lines.
I had the brain to be so creative and to actually help consciousness. Like, fuck, we need more of that. There's another guy who does this, not the same thing at all, but he's very much into comedy. JP Piers, I think, or something. He's like this long redheaded dude who makes like really funny spiritual concept videos.
Oh, and he's trolling usually.
Completely.
Yeah, he's really funny.
He's fucking
He
hilarious.
looks kind of pale.
Yes.
Yeah,
And he's just like, he just made a video like not too long. Well, he talks a lot about politics and the, everything, all that shit. And there's like, even like, how to become a spiritual pickup artist, like, like shit like that.
Yeah,
like
he's amazing.
that shit to me, I'm like, we need more of that because it's so entertaining and it's waking people up. It's amazing.
And I think there's just a lot of people who are waking up, and what waking up really means, it doesn't mean being hyper
Woke as
PC
fuck?
and no, it means taking responsibility for yourself. Because the people who start lining up and pointing fingers,
No.
those are the ones who are at the back of the list, because they're just trying to show the symbol of whatever niche they represent.
Yeah.
And that's not it. That's
No.
if you say you're woke, you're not woke.
No, exactly.
Exactly. It's about being empathetic to understand that person who is so angry or pointing the finger doing this has some unresolved work that they've done, that their ego is still driving their machine. And what you have been talking about since the beginning, when you were talking about like with your mother and regulating all that stuff, and talking to your childhood self, is as we're kids, little fresh tomatoes that come into this world, we build up these defense mechanisms which is called our ego, that helps us adapt to early life, because we have no way of knowing if a threat, this little sense of our father leaving the house, giving us tremendous sadness, is a 20 on 10 or a 1 on 10. We don't know. So everything is a 10 on 10 for us. And so we build this idea of what the world is, of what we are, what our personality is, into our childhood. But I think in your 20s or 30s, you're supposed to start unraveling that, so you can really exist in the world and be your own person and not be a reactive baby, which is what I see a lot of.
All the time.
But I do see a lot of people who are doing the work, and they're learning, and they're being like truly empathetic, because you can't really get mad at someone if you understand where they're coming from. If you understand, then you're just like, okay, well, I'll avoid them. I'll send them peace and love, but I'm not gonna.
But that's still spiritually sugarcoating bullshit.
I'm not gonna go debate them though.
Peace and love, good vibes only, green juices, yoga.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not gonna. Let's say I'm at a dinner and there's someone who's a woke PC police. I'm not gonna get into that with them because look, I send them peace and love because I hope they figure it out, but I don't give a fuck if they figure it out or not. I hope they do, but it's not my job.
Question.
Yeah.
What's the difference to you between empathy and compassion?
I don't know. I treat them as the same.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know the difference between empathy, compassion, and sympathy. I see them all as the same.
No, they actually have. So in terms of energy, every emotion has a frequency to it. This is what we mean by good vibes. Vibrations. So even like the frequency of love has a very, very high caliber. And that's when we say love heals, because it literally, when you hit a certain caliber in your body starts to self-heal. So when you hit actually unconditional love, which has a calibration of 540 hertz, literally in your body, you project that, your body starts to self-heal. So if you're constantly like vibing at like guilt, which is like, I think the caliber is 30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. When you're constantly in guilt, you can't self-heal.
I like that one.
Right?
Do you can't self-heal, or are you actually hurting yourself?
You're actually hurting yourself. You're very much hurting yourself.
Yeah, okay.
It's really weird. And you keep attracting situations at that caliber too. So you vibe really low and you keep attracting situations that are very low.
So check this out. So, because I like to imagine, I like to construct like a visual thing, a visual diagram or whatever, to help me understand things. Then that's how I voice it.
Yes.
Because I can't explain anything if I don't see it.
Right.
So this 5D cloud of consciousness, this that all the information is going to, I see it as Google Maps.
Right. Yeah, I know. You already told me about this.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Yes, but the trillions of people here in the Galactic Federation have not heard it yet. You know,
Let's do it. Yes.
So if we're revving at 30 hertz, we will be sending up that frequency into the cloud of 30 hertz, and so that Google Maps will be saying, "Oh, this being wants to go on the 30 hertz route. Let's send them down the 30 hertz route, and you will meet people and places, and like people who smoke, for example. If you're smoking, you're going to meet more smokers because of that. If you're not smoking, you're not going to meet smokers because you're not outside smoking.
And on top of it, most people that smoke are very much into shame, right? Because they don't feel good about the fact that they smoke. They don't come outside. They're like, yeah, I'm so healthy. You know, like they're literally like subconsciously, they're at a
Misery
space where
loves
they're like,
company.
yes. So shame is the lowest of the lowest.
What's lower than shame?
Nothing.
Oh my God,
You're
I feel
dead.
so much shame sometimes.
Shame is the lowest. Isn't that, it's worse. It's worse than guilt, fear, anger, desire, pride.
Desire.
Desire's bad.
What does that even mean? How is that bad?
So there's
like what kind of desire?
so the way that I call it is like survival desire versus like heart soul desire.
What's survival desire?
So you feeding the microbiome kind of thing, like feeding into getting a pizza kind of, that's a desire. Like you're like, oh fuck it, I just want a pizza.
Yeah, but
You're
my
feeding-
awareness is like, it's like watching the train wreck, but
Yes.
letting it happen.
Yep. So
But
it's,
sometimes I want to let it happen.
but that's sometimes it's okay.
But that's not as bad as shame.
No.
Okay, so on the
okay, so
when I get Pizza Hut,
okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's say there's a desire, which we're really getting into this, right? Can I go and like off on a tangent and just like explain
go
this?
wherever.
Yes.
Look, we're in the fifth dimension. Time
so
doesn't exist.
excited.
Time doesn't exist.
Okay.
Still recording?
Yes.
Amazing.
Says rec.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. So higher states of consciousness, lower states of consciousness, right? The higher states are the more high vibrational calibrations. The lowest of that is courage. It's at 200. Okay. Anything below that is lower states of consciousness. Right below that is pride, desire, anger, fear, depression, apathy. Then you have guilt and shame. So the lowest of the lowest is shame. So let's say you have a desire, you feel it, and you go, oof, do I do this? Do I not do this? And then you're like, maybe I shouldn't. So you're like, fuck it, let's do it.
Then you get on the slide.
The problem with low states of consciousness is that the arrow and the calibration pulls you down. So when you're feeding into that certain emotion, it will go lower. So you will experience, you're going to fulfill that need for a little bit, but then you're going to experience maybe a second of like, fuck. Then you're going to keep going lower of like apathy, depression. Now you're like,
Falls
shit, what did I
fast.
do? Yeah, like completely. And then you're within 30 minutes, you're like, why did I do that? And then you embody shame, and it's really hard to get out of it because you're at the lowest of the lowest. Isn't that heavy?
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
That's literally what all my music is about.
That's so funny.
All of it. It's I call it going to the dark side of the moon.
So it's low states of consciousness.
And then you got to come back.
yeah, you got to come back.
And it's not like you can just go from the lowest to the highest. You got to work back, and it
Yes,
usually
you do.
takes me days.
Yep. Yeah. Because you literally need to force. So the thing about low states of consciousness and high states of consciousness is that when you're in that high state, everything is empowered. When you're in that low state, everything is forceful. You're forcing things to happen. You're forcing things to literally get through, and you're like, oh, you're trying to climb up and you can't, and you're just forcing and forcing and forcing, unless you have like literally 2 days of sleep where your body just energetically resets itself. But even at that, like it's a complete choice. So the only way that you can get from low states of consciousness into high states of consciousness and hit courage, which is the lowest, to propel you up, because that's the thing, when you're in high states, it just goes up. It gets better.
How do we stay there?
So I think part of the human experience is to observe all of those externally and not attach yourself to them. So my biggest tip would be to call out the emotion right away, especially like I actually send the pyramid to my clients all the time. And I'm like, if ever you feel that emotion, just like pinpoint what it is and try to go up. So let's say I get on a call with a client who's like in shame or guilt. I will literally try to get her to grieve whatever she needs to grieve of whatever she's experiencing because we're moving up. And then she starts to realize like, wait, what the fuck? Like, how did I get myself in that state? Like, I'm so annoyed that I'm even in that state in the first place. So now I know she's in like anger or pride, which is so close to higher states of consciousness. So I get her to say, or him, how can you take action on this? So now she's going to say, well, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. Fuck it. I'm going to go for a walk.
Hell yeah.
That's courage. She just took a step into taking action. So from that state, she comes back, she already feels better. And now it's just going up into acceptance, willingness, forgiveness.
That's beautiful.
Compassion. Yeah, I know. It's
because I've never visualized it like that, but
I'll send it to you.
I feel that.
You understand, right? It's doable.
Because I've gotten to the place where I can, let's say I'm feeling like a horrible feeling. I'm observing it.
Yeah.
And I could talk to people. I'll talk to my brother or my mom or whoever. And I'll say, oh, I'm in this mood now because this is what I did. And I'm on the way back, but here's where I am. And I laugh about it.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm able to be open about it.
Which is good because at least you, in my opinion, when you get in that state, you take off the emotional charge to whatever you're experiencing. So yes, it's still low, but it's not the gravity is less,
right?
Exactly.
So the climb back is easier.
Exactly.
Because you're not like, ugh.
Yeah, it's not like as dreadful as somebody who's like, I am this, like you are not your emotions. You're just
lost.
Yeah. And like this is why anxiety and depression happen. It's because they think that they're their emotions and they're not. They're just experiencing an emotion. So the more that you get attached to it, the worse
woke,
it gets.
People.
Get fucking woke, man. What the fuck?
But I love that because that's such and we ride the wave constantly.
Yes. And it's always up and down. Like there's never, honestly, that's a lie because lately I've been literally flowing in high states of consciousness. I'm just like, I can barely sleep.
May the force be with you.
Thank you, man. It definitely is with me. But in that
I can
state,
feel it.
like I know you can feel it, and I'm sure people can probably feel it that my voice is still very grounded.
They can see it.
They can see it. And
so how do you stay grounded when you're in a high state? Because my struggle is when I'm in a high state, I feel like I'm flying and I'm doing amazing things, but I'm like, it's like I figured out how to get the plane in the air and I'm ripping, but I'm going to crash land because I haven't learned how to land the plane.
Breath.
Breath?
Breath.
All right, well, that solves that then.
Breathe, like literally.
Second podcast in a row that we do a breathing exercise.
Really?
Rob Turcotte. Do you know him?
I know of him.
Well, you know him now.
He knows who I am.
Oh my.
I'm sorry, but he knows my dad. So like.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Jim. Yes, I think my dad trained with him somewhere somehow.
Infinite training.
Something, I don't know, I forget. But I know that somehow Rob one time asked about me because he saw I was in Bali or whatever. So I thought that was interesting.
All right, so I rudely interjected there, and you were doing a breath. So you want to do a little breath exercise so everyone, the trillions of people in the Federation can do this with us?
So wherever you are, even if you're driving, I think a lot of people listen to podcasts as they're driving. The easiest way because not only is breath really beneficial for bringing you back in the present, but it also triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, where in that state, you're no longer in survival, right? Like your body is not tense. It doesn't think it needs to fight or freeze or fly, like nothing. It just is, right? So the easiest breath that you can do is, there's so many different types, but it's the 4-7-8 breath. So you inhale through the nose for 4 seconds.
Let's do it all together.
Can
you speak it?
I will speak it.
You're a pro.
I am.
You're a professional. So let's do this.
So you want to relax your body and your shoulders and your stomach.
Well, my abs.
Your abs, gotta let go of your abs, man.
No.
I know.
Okay.
So you gotta release, and especially your hips too. A lot of tension in the hips. Yeah, just like all you need to do is have the intention of like, oh, right, hips relax. So just be a potato, basically. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes.
Not if you're driving.
Not if you're driving, but
I'll close my eyes.
You can close your eyes.
All right, let's go.
And I'll guide you. And just taking a deep breath in through your nose and bring the breath as low as possible in your lower part of your stomach. And you hold the breath when it's full. Relax your shoulders, relax your body. 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now you want to exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds, extremely slow. And release tension in your jaw. and do it again. So deep inhale for 4 seconds. Bring the breath as low as possible. And hold the breath. And relax the body. Relax the jaw, relax the tongue. 4, 5, 6, 7. And exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just from those 2 breaths, what do you experience?
Well, I feel relaxed. Like I was kind of like laughing while I was doing it because I was making faces.
Yes, yes. But notice also how like your inhale was quite strong and your exhale was not exactly at 8 seconds. Did you notice how you have trouble to like fully exhale?
Yeah. Well, I let out too much too soon.
Right. So that's what usually happens when the sympathetic nervous system is kind of shooting. So practicing to
I'm very nervous, like I told you.
Maybe. So your body automatically breathes, like think about it, like an animal, right? When it's scared that something's going to attack, it's not going, it's literally going,
yeah.
Where do I go? So as we can control our breaths, we can control our experiences as humans where things feel much more present and peaceful and graceful and effortless. You're also experiencing the emotions a lot better. You're allowing things to move through a lot smoother. And just in that space, now we say that we get grounded. But I'm sure right now you can even experience a little bit more of like, yeah, I'm focused. I feel clear, a little bit better.
I got
right?
that brain buzz a little bit.
Right, exactly. So imagine this is if I have clients where we're talking, I literally like, I can't even hear her breathe or like, she just feels like really tense. I'm like, okay, we're just going to chill for a sec. And like just at least 3 times, we're going to do the 4, 7, 8. And from that, you can already hear in her voice where she's just like, okay, I feel better. And now it's like, all right, now we can get to down to business, because now it's almost like your subconscious is more, it's not so restricted. Your conscious mind is not so restricted. Your heart is not so restricted. So everything's a little bit easier to tap into. You can't really talk about somebody's trauma if they're like, they're constantly like, oh my God, I wasn't, like it's not going to happen. They're in survival mode. Nothing comes through in survival mode.
And they're probably really nervous in that moment.
Very.
Because they've taken the plunge. They've taken the leap to talk to you and seek guidance.
Absolutely.
And so they're like,
yeah, exactly. So I need them to calm down, to come back to the heart, bring the energy in the heart, and just allow themselves to just be here now. Just be. There is nothing else to do. So there's a lot of clarity that comes through when they're in that space, and it makes my work a lot easier too. Not that I need it to be specifically easy, because I feel like I've gotten pretty good at it at this point in time. But I think that something I'm able to really do, and what I've learned even through, states of consciousness, is that when you're for most part, again, 80-20%, I would say, when you're in the most part vibrating at a higher state of consciousness, you bring an energy that's very grounding and feels really safe for people. So people want to talk to you. They can feel that energy of like, I can say anything, I can feel anything, I can be anything. And that person will accept me because we have a high caliber. And it's not to say even just from that state that anything high or low is good or bad, because I think at the end of the day, it's just an experience. So if you can just detach yourself from that and just understand that you're just vibrating at a certain caliber. And if things constantly feel very forceful, you're probably in low states. And I think it's just like, well, do you want to live in that state where everything feels so forced and dramatic and hard and tough and rough? Or do you want to experience a life that's like graceful and peaceful and more fluid, and things show up like synchronicities or experiences that are just like, oh my God, how did this happen? Like, it's like the universe heard me. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're now in flow. You're in flow with the universe. So it feels a lot better. And
you're resonating at a frequency now that's more agreeable. And that, because before, resonating at that frequency, the undesirable frequency, is giving you more of that.
But notice how your brain went to desire. Remember, like, desire is
yes,
like,
but like it is.
I know.
It is desirable. but we never say, like, whenever synchronicities happen, we say, oh my God, like I visualized this and it came to fruition. This happened. I manifested it. But when you're like in a shit vibe, you never say, oh, I manifested this and this and this and this.
So that's what
we do.
Exactly.
Constantly.
It's constantly
and it becomes our standard. So that's why when something, we are a manifesting machine.
All the time.
People ask me, are we in the fifth, like, how do I tap into the fifth dimension? You are glued to the fifth dimension. But whatever vibe you're resonating at is what you're going to get.
Yep.
So that's what it's all about. So like we see these miracles that happen once in a while. It's just because we're not usually in that state for that long. And our ego believes that normal everyday life is the lower frequency life because that's where it's comfortable. And I guess that's why like gravity, things fall down. So it's more comfortable at the base and that's where it's comfortable in the bones. But who knows?
Who knows? But I think that's where I started to, because for me, even when I started doing my work, I was like, there's so many different aspects of this. Like, what the fuck do I call this? Like, I don't know. This was my experience and I knew it was working and there was something that was missing in the science aspect of things and the spiritual aspect of things. And even me, like people who see me on camera, like you wouldn't assume that I'm like a spiritual person because I'm not wearing the fucking crystals and like, you know, the white robe or whatever. Like,
aren't you wearing a crystal on your necklace or something?
No, it's a little shell.
Okay. You're so far away.
So far, 6 feet apart, right? But it's really interesting because people look at me and they're like, oh my God, you're spiritual? Like I never would have thought. Like it doesn't look like it. And I'm like, well, because I'm not part of that woo-woo crap where I need to prove or defend shit.
It's not an outfit that you wear.
No, it's not an outfit. It's an embodiment. It's an energy. It's an energy. And then I was like, wait a second. Like everything is energy. Literally everything is energy. I don't know what the fuck is real in the world, but if I know there's one thing that I can technically depend on is understanding what energy is. And then I was like, oh my God, this is my work. Like, this is it. So emotions have energy, experiences have energy, people have energies. This water has an energy. Your tap water has no energy and mine does.
I went through a Brita filter. Come on.
So now it really has no energy.
I don't know. I know it also has no lead.
Yeah, exactly. At least. And that's what really has led me into doing what I do today. And the same thing with like the whole Monergy thing that I'm starting to teach now. It's like, I'm sure people were like, why is a self-healing coach talking about Monergy? Which for people who don't know, Monergy is this concept that I created that came out actually during a plant medicine journey of mine where I was just like, blah, 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 Monergy. And my friend was like, oh my God, you need to teach this. And it just came.
That sounds like a branding miracle.
It really was. And I was like, I need to teach Monergy. Like, this is it. And so Monergy is the energy of money, understanding how it works, why it's there, just healing your own relationship with Monergy. And that's really interesting. So people were like, what the fuck is a self-healing coach teaching Monergy for? Like, what the hell? But if healing consists of energies, and if you are an extension of your energetic system in every aspect of your life, in money, relationships, sex, business, health, wealth, whatever, why is money different? It's not. If everything is energy,
well, it's just another vertical of that business, because
100%.
Energy is like our world is a manifestation of our energy, of energies. So a lot of people have big issues with money. It's another thing. It's another source of like ego narratives that don't serve you, and that will, if they're not addressed, will make you repeat these not ideal situations when it comes with money. It's another trauma that needs to be addressed.
Yep. And a lot of it comes from our family. That's the problem. Like for me, I realized that a lot of it was from my dad's side of the family, who was very wealthy, but yet always in scarcity. And I was like, what? And I would experience literally the same things where like I'd buy things or, get my new car. And then all of a sudden I'm like literally driving as though something bad's going to happen. Like I'm waiting for it. And I was like, why am I being like this? And then I realized that a big part of the Monergy on my dad's side was everything was conditional. Like you get one thing, something bad happens. And we live in a very conditional world. So it's very normal. People wait for the shoe to drop all the time. New relationships, something new, a new business venture, something like they're waiting for the shoe to drop. And so because they expect that, they actually attract that. And then it happens and they're like, ha, you see, I knew it. And it's like, but because you thought that that's what was going to happen, you projected that, you attracted that, you manifested that, good or bad. And so, and I always tell, whoever chooses to work with me, I always tell them that the biggest thing that you can do for yourself right here, right now is to have, number one, the awareness of wherever you're at, and then have the courage to take ownership and responsibility for whatever you're experiencing. And in terms of calibration, that has a very high energy too. So if you're able to be in ownership ASAP, wow, your life is about to change.
That's the biggest thing that I experience or that I see with other people. It's like there's two kinds of people. There's people who take responsibility and people who don't. And that's what I'm seeing during COVID too. It's like,
oh my God,
people have a lot of people. It's like they followed the school system, they followed the life system. They're just repeating like I've said it in another podcast. They bring their lunchbox to school when they're 7. They eat their snack at 10:15. They have the lunch. 3 p.m. They have another snack. They go home. They eat their dinner, and they repeat this from 7 years old till 65, and then they retire and I don't know, die a little later. But that I have no idea what I was talking about.
I have no idea either. Funny enough, I was like, where is he going with this? Okay, we were talking about, that's really weird. Maybe it's just not meant to talk about.
Oh, no, COVID. So COVID is
people.
Oh, because that kind of life, it's like there's no real ownership or responsibility.
Right.
It's like you're a child and you go to your job and you get paid and they tell you when to eat and they tell you when this and they tell you when to get your vaccine and they tell you what to eat and they tell you when you can piss and they tell you everything. But this is like throwing the whole system out of whack. So it's like, whoa, maybe I can do whatever I want. Are you saying that like I can build my own immune system?
That I can make my own business, that I can work for myself, that I can have any relationship I want?
Exactly.
Whoa.
Like I don't have to
I don't have to get married by 23? Are you sure?
And in that whole, it's like the whole system of like what you were supposed to do because it's failing now.
Yeah.
And people can only see something's failing if it completely explodes.
Right now.
And so now they're like, whoa, this isn't serving me. I can't do this. People who followed the guidelines to the T got a real horrible wake-up call this year when they realized that everything's falling apart.
Yep.
And as like, it's like when pensions get dropped from companies of people like who've been there and like all these things, it's like,
Yep.
and that's not taking ownership. That's depending on an outward thing to keep you secure and safe for your entire existence. Where it's like, I think people like you and I are innately like on a polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
Maybe to not a good degree either. Like self-ownership is good, but it's like, I personally have to learn how to have faith in working with others or depending on people more because I naturally am like, I'm going to do it alone.
Oh my God, I was just having this conversation like 2 days ago. Literally, at the retreat that I had,
Okay.
one of my friends came and helped me out and taught yoga at the same time. And like she really helped me. And I noticed myself having not anxiety, but like that little pinch of like, what if she doesn't do it right? And I literally noticed myself taking a step back and just going like, it's okay. You can let her, you can trust her. And I was like, whoa, never experienced that like yet, it's definitely coming through more, but I definitely can relate because I think people like us who choose to live differently at the beginning, there is a lot of leading that we need to do for ourselves in order to live the life that we want to do. We have to take that step. We have to lead ourselves whichever way we want to go. And then when we're finally in that space, now we can create a little bit more space for others to come through and to help us.
But we need to do that early grind on our own because we're paving our own way.
I think so, yes.
And we can't bring other people in the door until there's like at least a little bit of a roof on the head first.
Yeah, completely. And I think it's just like, I think right now also, and during this COVID time, is that, the subconscious mind is very habitual, right? And people don't know what they don't know till the
They
way
know
that
it.
yeah, well, basically, like something happens, right? For them to be like, what the fuck? Like it took them out of that habit. And COVID was that massive stomp on the ground, was like, it just broke that habit. And now people are going, whoa, holy shit. Like, wait, like,
They've been shaken out of their trance.
yep. And that's the only way that your brain will actually stop being in that subconscious place. Like you're not eating at those times. You're not working at an office. You're not getting up at the same time anymore. You're completely taken out of your norm, which is the way to wake up.
Which is the norm.
Exactly.
Right? Like the way that we lived for hundreds of thousands of years, or whatever varieties of human there were, was every day was a new adventure.
Yep.
Constant adaptation, constant learning, constant emotions. You know? But like, do they even really need to deal with their emotions because they were just so open and free and they were reacting to their environment in a sense. Like we're pretty complacent compared to like
Are we talking about
cave
like
Tasha?
Okay, I was gonna say like cave times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. Like, I don't know if. Okay, so a good way to look at it, for example, is like even the other day I was coaching one of my clients, and I was really called to bring in her partner, and who has been feeling a little off for a little while, but he has a really strong drive. And what I was telling him is that, you know, we both as humans have that masculine and that feminine energy. We all have it. Like you're not just a man with masculine energy. Like you're also feminine too, which is like your emotions, your flow, your nurturing side, your more gentle side. Like everybody has this. But for men, obviously you guys embody more of a masculine, and for women, we tend to embody more of a feminine. And for men, it's really important for you guys to have something to hunt. It's really important to have a purpose. Because for women, for example, technically our purpose is already in our bodies to create babies. We're at a point now in our evolution as humans where we get to transfer and transmute this energy into creations. Whether it's a business, art, a family, you get to choose. Back then it was just kind of like make babies and that's it. So for us, it's pretty innate in our bodies to create and to have that deep inner knowing and wisdom. But for men, you don't have that. So when a guy doesn't have like that direction, that hunting game, that drive, that purpose, it's very, very, very hard. And a lot of men get in that state of depression.
It's hard for the guy or hard for the girl?
No, it's hard. Well, if you're in a relationship, it's hard for the girl too.
Yeah.
Because she's going, what the fuck are you doing? You're not
She's
leading.
and she's breathing in that vibe.
Yep, 100%.
That shameful vibe, the lowest of the low.
Oh, the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was telling him that, I said, you know, he was smoking a lot of weed, and I was going, that's not serving you either. And it's completely taking you out of your drive into your hunt, you know, like get back in those animalistic energies, and like allow yourself to feel and to go and to explore and, you know, be in that space. And at the same time, in terms of relationships, like your partner will always be the opposite of whatever you're at. And if you're not, you're just going to clash. You're going to literally always fight. You're always going to like, you know, hit heads and just be stubborn. Like you see that all the time, right? So what was happening in that relationship that I thought was so interesting is that she was embodying a very masculine energy for a long time, and he was embodying a very feminine energy for a long time. And as we've been doing the work together, her and I, she's been embodying more of her feminine, which has been very fluid and loving. And then he's kind of like, you know, what the fuck's happening? Like, I don't really know how to adjust to this energy.
So as she changed,
he does too.
Did he right away, or is that where the problem happened?
No, the problem was already there before. So basically what happens is that as she changes, he feels that, and he's going, whoa, like what's happening? Because he's recalibrating too, right? Because she is. So that day I was like, let's talk, all of us. So I was explaining them what was happening. I said, you know, Paul. Oh crap, I said his name. Whoops.
Okay. I doubt Paul is watching this.
He might be, but that's okay.
You didn't say his last name or his address.
Not. Right. So let's call him Paul. So Paul.
All right, Paul.
So
we could put a beep on it.
Let's put a beep. Can we put a beep?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you so
much. And I'll do
much.
a really awkward Paul. Say Paul.
Paul.
So that's what we're going to use on top.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's perfect. So that's really clever, actually. Thank you.
I am a genius.
So you are a genius, 5D genius.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So yeah, I was just explaining them like, she's going in that direction. She is embodying more of a feminine, which is actually great. Now she's more in her harmony. So things are coming through. She's in that creative mode. She's really excited about her work, and you're now being called to embody more of your masculine energy. And he's like, holy shit. And I'm like, so there needs to be that hunt again. And she came to my retreat and they didn't talk for the whole weekend. And that was like, we had that call, she came, and then she went home and she was like, holy fuck. Like, he took complete ownership of his life, stopped smoking, like completely just decided to like, I'm in this, like I'm going for the hunt. Like I'm creating my hunt. And I was like, good.
Creating that inner fire, right?
Yes.
And that's a very big thing with guys is that we don't have to go hunt. We don't have to bring meat home to our family. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to get stuck on the couch watching porn, smoking weed, doing all these things that really deteriorate your inner motivation.
100%.
And I'm a completely different person when I'm, let's say, in that state. Mm-hmm. I always have this like fiery ambition within me, but I have to fight in order to be that. It's
good. It's good for you men to fight. It's in you. When you look at tribal days, right? Like we had the women inside, like the tribe, taking care of the kids, cooking, nurturing, and actually tuning in to guidance for men. And the men were hunting and fishing and protecting and providing whatever they needed. And anytime, I mean, this might be a little TMI for whoever's not used to this conversation, but fuck it, like we're open here. But especially when women were on their periods, men knew that they had a stronger connection to source, to the divine 5D, whatever you want to call it. And they would come to women and ask them for guidance. Where do we go next? Where do we bring our tribe? What should I do? What do I need to heal? Because they knew. And that to me is just like, it's fucking mind blowing how.
It's like the women were the generals.
Yes.
And the men were the soldiers.
Yep.
Which really is very interesting to think about. It is
very interesting. And, we hear a lot right now, even like the feminine rising. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this before. Okay, so in the more spiritual woo-woo side of things right now, like the feminine is rising. And so a lot of people think that we're talking about the women. And I don't agree. I think it's the feminine within us that is rising. We've been living in a very masculine world for a very long time. Structured, linear thinking, problem, solution, business.
Not very 5D, huh?
No, not really.
So would that make me tremendously feminine? Art, 5D?
I feel
like I'm a good balance of those things.
So what's interesting about you, because I know where you've been and where you're at, is that in my opinion, law of energy is that when you hit one extreme, you have to hit the opposite in order to find flow again. You experience your masculine extreme in your business side of things when you still worked for your dad, right? And then you experience the complete opposite where you were just like,
well, especially when he passed away.
100%. He was your catalyst.
Yeah, because I don't even think before that I was in my full masculine. I was still making my art and thinking about this and that.
But even like toxic masculine is a thing too. There's different sides of masculine, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it was like macho stuff.
Yeah. And then I think, you went to the opposite extreme, and I feel like now you're in your flow. You're in that harmony space because you experienced both. And it almost is part of awakening. You see a lot of people when they start to awaken, or whatever you want to call it, kind of go through like a spiritual awakening or a realization, whatever you want to call it, they go vegan. You see a lot of that because they're like, what the fuck? Like they start to realize that like there's this whole thing of like the food industry, and they're like, what the hell? Like I've spent all these years eating all this meat, all this shit food. I need to change this. I need to change. So literally they experience the complete opposite. But it's almost part of it because then they come back into harmony.
To baseline.
Yes.
Not baseline to harmony.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it. It's like you find the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening in our world right now is that we've been, even with business, typical things like money doesn't grow on trees, or don't take it personal, it's just business, or, not taking care of their employees as companies because it's business, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, it's such bullshit. It's very linear thinking. It's very small minded. It's very, like I said, problem solutions, toxic masculine, very much so.
But I'd say most big companies now are not like that.
Oh, I know.
Because it's bad for business.
Exactly.
And I'd say, you could say it's spiritual, or you could also say that output is just better when you treat your employees better. Your company grows better.
So
it's like a communist country, like Russia versus, let's say, the United States. One is more free. The other one is seemingly less free, right?
Right.
But there's way more scientific revolutions and tech revolutions in a freer world where you can have blue hair and call yourself.
So there's more creation when they embody more of a feminine energy as a company.
Because there
is that space.
Yeah, and you need like they say, you need the people who create the technological revolutions, or the inventors. They're the freaks.
Yep.
They're the outsiders of society. So if you can encourage them to feel free and not be, not get a beating for being a little weird, where, let's say, some, I would assume, because I haven't been, are not as open. Communist countries are not as open to your free expression. And the result is, like, who's the most powerful, in the world. And I think it's because of the technology, and the technology comes from the thinkers who were free and allowed to experience and create without having to be in that parasympathetic zone of, like, okay, can I do this? Do I have to look over my shoulder? Because if you don't have to look over your shoulder, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Which is great. And I think it's interesting because I'm about to say this, but every time I'm saying it lately, it feels a little off. But I was going to say, I think we all deserve to live that life, to not have to look over our shoulders, or to live in survival. But I'd still, last couple months, not that anything happened to me specifically, but I did kind of realize that there are definitely really bad people in the world. And it's not that I don't think that they deserve either that, but it's, do you see where I'm getting at here?
I totally get. So there's a question of, like, let's say there are very bad people in the world. I just see them as products of their environment and their genetic, and this and that and that and that.
Yeah.
And that's why plants need to build defense mechanisms. And that's why countries need armies. And that's why we need to be able to defend ourselves sometimes. And it's not because we don't want to, and it's not because we don't want them to be free and rid of their ego and, like, a fulfilled person. But there's always going to be an animal in the jungle that's going to want to fuck you up. And there are people like that.
If you live in survival.
If you live in, so what do you mean?
So, like, remember we were talking about, like, low states of consciousness, and, like, you're usually in survival mode when you're in that space. So let's say you're living in a space where you're in high states of consciousness. Would you still feel the need to defend for yourself if you're out of the survival mode? No, but there's always exceptions to the rule. Yes.
So you can be in.
I'm just picking your brain. I hope you know that.
Yeah, totally. You can be on your farm.
Yeah.
You could be all beautiful, and you have your family, and you're free flowing, and you're wonderful. And then something happens, and some army of, like, hooligans comes over and just destroys everything and fucks you up big time.
Yep.
That can happen.
100%.
You could have been flowing just great, and for some reason that was set on your course.
Yep.
There's no ruling that out.
No.
That can happen, because another illusion I think that we have, because we're still a very primitive species, extremely primitive. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we live in this safe, I know a lot of people like myself, it's relatively safe. We live in this safe world. So we start to forget the laws of nature, and we are animals just like in nature. And just because we usually live in peaceful times, it doesn't mean that at any point some bad shit can happen, because we are just products of nature, and nature is a cruel beast.
And you can't control it either.
No. And so in our daily lives, I see, like, within the safe zone, and, like, the 5D and frequency and all this good stuff, amazing. And it will guide you, and it'll do all these great things.
Absolutely.
But sometimes shit will hit the fan.
Yep. And I think that's part of the human experience too.
Absolutely.
And I think at the end of the day, it's understanding all of this and choosing to really, first of all, I would say like, where do you feel like you put your power into external things? I would really ask yourself that, like whoever is listening to this, like what do you put your external power into constantly, day after day after day? And then what do you attach to? And I'm not just talking about physical things, but like, if I took this away from you, do you think that your world would crumble? You know, would you have a breakdown? Would you think that the world is over? Because at the end of the day, I think as humans, we're way too attached to a lot of things, and especially people. We're very, like, people cling on to their partners as like, I need this person. And I think if you're able to live in a space of surrender, so when these things happen, do you think when the tree is experiencing a hurricane, it's going, fuck my life, I'm experiencing a hurricane? No, it's flowing with it. And it's going, this is going to end soon, because everything is temporary. Everything. Law of nature is cyclical. It's circular. It's not straight. It's not linear. But we've been living in a linear world most of our lives.
We live on such a tiny fragment of time and space and everything. So like we have these ideas of what the world is like because we've experienced so little of it.
Yep.
And I think our attachment to things as a people is only because we a lot of people, and this is again, there's always equal good and equal bad.
Or maybe there just is.
There just is. Yeah. That's the way I see it.
Right.
It just is.
Yeah.
But for sake of argument, when you have this society that's, you know, relatively safe, and you have this life and you can plan your career and you can do all these things, you're not, the price to pay is that you've never really experienced what you can really do. Like people have never seen what they really have. They've never been put to the test and achieved and felt this state of like, I can do anything no matter what hits me. Perhaps we've lived that in a small way where we've experienced things in life that have made us grow, because we didn't just get like this. Perhaps like maybe we had this innately a little bit, but life hits you in the head with a hammer and you figure out how to rebuild yourself. I think a lot of people haven't been hit with a hammer. And 2020 is a hammer.
It's a fucking hammer.
It's a hammer. And I think that's a great thing for a lot of people.
It is.
I don't want to say, obviously, like people are dying and people's lives are all fucked up and they're losing their jobs. Horrible. But at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of people who are rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
They're starting online businesses.
Oh, it's
They're
fantastic.
thinking about their health in a different way. They're thinking about a world where perhaps it's not all taken care of for them. And so there's this responsibility and this sense of like imagine you've gone your whole life and you've never like really achieved something and felt proud. No wonder you'd be resonating at a low frequency. Like you'd be resonating at shame, because even if you're not aware of it, your ego doesn't let you be aware of it, but your soul knows, or whatever your consciousness is, or it knows. And so that's why those are the ones who judge people or want to cancel people or want to do this or that.
It's easier.
It's easier because you're not dealing with your own shit.
Yep.
And Jordan Peterson, he says this amazing quote. He says, before you judge anyone or try to change the world, clean your bedroom. He's like, don't tell people how to run the world before you put your socks away.
Yeah.
You know, and put your shit in the laundry. And I think that's a good way to look at things.
Well, they do say the best way to understand how your subconscious mind works or what it's made up of is to just observe your environment. It's a pure reflection of it. So your space, your friends, your job, what you choose to do with your time, that is all a reflection of your subconscious mind. So in order to change your life, you need to change your environment, change your subconscious mind.
I love this because what is this logo behind me?
The Galactic, I can't see.
It's the Galactic Federation of Time Travelers, but this logo over here. Okay.
Oh yes, we spoke about this. I remember I asked you when you got it done.
This big circle,
yes,
is the subconscious mind. That
is the conscious,
and it's small.
Yep, it's tiny.
And the subconscious mind, in terms of our being, runs a lot of the operating system.
All of it, 90%.
95.
95%.
So if you can manage to adjust your environment, your food habits, the people, all this stuff, you'll be programming this bad boy over here. And then it's like you're rewiring your system.
Completely.
And then the things that you want to do, first of all, this will allow you to see what you really want to see. And then you'll be aligned, and then you can become a time traveler.
And you can do anything you want.
Exactly. Or at least it gives us
the choice, the freedom,
the freedom to choose what we want to do, or, because if you're not taking care of your inputs or your environment, your food, those are all inputs, then you are on autopilot.
Completely.
You're on autopilot. And when you're on autopilot, you're not the driver. The ego is driving, and the ego is the autopilot. And I think a lot of people have lived their entire lives in autopilot.
100%.
And when you're dealing with someone who is really easily offended or judging other people or saying really shit things, I just see them as in autopilot.
Yep.
Their machine, this vessel that we inhabit, is in autopilot. And so that's why I don't think it's sugarcoating anything to say that I'm really not mad at them.
No.
Because I totally understand that I can't be mad at a machine.
No.
A machine's just a machine. It's doing what it thinks it needs to do.
Yep, I agree.
But
I think the biggest way that you can see if you're spiritually sugarcoating anything is if you're resisting it, if you're avoiding it. Like if you're literally, this is my concept, anything that you're literally trying not to like observe, like see and really face, and you are avoiding it, there is, because everything's energy, right? You literally need an energy to push it away, to keep it away, to keep it on the back burner. So that actually drains you a lot. And there's a lot of people that have, traumas or energetic blockages that are extremely exhausted all the time. You see this all the time now. Everyone's exhausted. It's like, yeah, because you're not allowing this energy to come out. And it's very, so normalized. It's so weird, but it's so normalized.
You see memes about it. Well, you see memes about that. You see memes about anxiety and depression. And they're like they say like 5% of the population's like anxious or depressed.
5%.
Bullshit. It's like 95%.
It's like 98. It's so weird. It's so normal.
Like who's doing these? Like,
but the thing is, dude, is that anxiety is not normal. That's what's so fucked up.
Well, I think it is normal if you put an animal in a box.
Yes.
And I see a lot of animals in boxes here.
But what's so mind-fucking is like, this is the problem with the ego, and like the ego is the victim. So here I am the other day and I'm talking about anxiety and depression. I'm like, it's normalized, but it's not normal. As in like, you don't have to fucking live in this way. And then I don't know why I'm holding my finger like this, but apparently
because you were on your phone maybe checking it. I don't know.
So I was on Instagram.
Yeah, I was on Instagram. 1948.
Big computer screen. And I was telling them that, and I could sense that people were probably like, you think I chose this? You think I want to live in anxiety? And I'm like, well, honestly, there's a part of you somewhere, somehow, that is attached to that identity because it confirms something. And that's the problem with the ego, is that it'll consistently confirm your fears and your wants. And it's easier to the mind to hold on than to let go.
You got to starve that ego.
Yeah, you do. And you need to fucking loosen your grip. This is my new analogy. Look, you would like this. So the more you grip, the more you try to control anything to this one thing, to this one identity, to this grip, it actually blocks you from other things to come through, right? Like you can't let in anything inside here because there's this massive control. And the second you let go, you actually create all this space, all these other opportunities for things to come through.
I like that.
Isn't it so
very
good?
nice. It's very nice.
I think I was high too when I came up with this.
Yeah, that's
it's
okay.
Very possible.
Whatever.
Really good things come out when I'm high. So
whatever it takes.
I know, it just happens. But yeah, I think it's.
But look,
yeah.
when our ego, it takes resistance or it takes some kind of situation to burst the ego.
I hope it happens.
And I think everyone has their time.
I think COVID made it happen.
I think it happened on a big level.
Yes. And we needed that. We really needed that.
And in in the way that you were explaining things, if everyone's here for a purpose, some people may never learn, and that's their purpose for this trip.
And they'll have to come back.
It's because they were on level 1 or 2. Who knows?
And it's really funny because you can really see, like, well, for me anyways, I can really sense.
I can too.
Yes, of course you can. Come on, Dash.
Yeah.
But I think you can really see like who's been here a lot, you know? And then you can really see who's kind of new. And you're like, oh, like I had a girl at the retreat. I could sense that she's kind of new.
You want to tell her name too?
No, I know, I'm so bad with this. I need to be careful. I am usually very careful because I'm very
It's okay. You're nervous.
confidential about my clients because I really care about their lives and you know what they share with me. It's sacred. But it's really funny to observe a person who's kind of like, it's almost like she was, you know, like a little Bambi in like the forest, and it's kind of like, oh my God, like what is this shit? You know, like just kind of shook, like as though she came from like another planet and like doesn't understand how the planet works. It's really funny. And I'm like, but there's more of those people coming through. So it's almost like maybe I'm wondering if there's like a consciousness reset that's happening, and these new souls that are coming in are like clean vessels.
Yeah, and they're like skipping.
Yeah.
They're skipping the line because of you. You're here to raise consciousness, and you're doing it.
Good.
That's amazing. That's what you're supposed to do.
I know. And it's pretty weird.
And
it's cool.
Someone was telling me the message is in the medium. So it's like the words you say are one thing, but the fact that your words are a vibration, are a frequency.
Oh, yeah.
Even if someone didn't speak the language, they'd be able to receive something like that. And that's how I see music. That's why in my music, I don't feel like I need to be overly literal with all the lyrics and stuff. But with the emotion that I made the song and the sounds and the way I'm singing, those all convey, they're a projection of my frequency.
It's a vibration.
It's a vibration.
We don't even realize how, I was talking about this actually in my last Monergy webinar, that if you're able to see your voice as like, it has an infinity sign around it. So as you share and talk, even just us through this podcast, I'm emitting a frequency, and it's always going to come back right inside my being. So it's really important that you're careful of the words you use. And this is why a lot of people are like, so why bother with affirmations? Like, well, what the fuck is the point? You know, or like mantras, like why do they work? And the reason is because those words have an energy frequency to them. So if I can hear somebody constantly saying it's really hard, I'm scared, I don't want to, I don't know how, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm fat, I'm ugly. Imagine your body heard everything you said.
Well, it does.
But that's what I'm saying.
You're programming your subconscious mind to believe that reality.
All the time. So, but that's the problem, is that it's so habitual and it's so deeply in the subconscious that they have no idea that they're saying it till somebody goes, stop. Do you hear what you just said? She always pops in my mind. I had this client who's been on her spiritual path forever, like 10 plus years. And she's like, I'm still in the same space. Like I feel blocked. Like I do the yoga, I do the meditation, blah, blah, blah.
Don't say that.
Don't say what?
No, her.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Don't say I'm blocked, because you'll be blocked.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
No, not you.
Oh, her.
Her.
Oh, yes.
If she's saying
exactly.
I'm blocked and I'm still in the same place.
Exactly.
Then she is. She's programming that narrative.
Exactly. And she kept, and I'm like, I'm just observing, you know, I take my step back and I'm like, okay, let's keep talking. Let's figure out what the subconscious mind is talking about, blah, 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 blah. And then she keeps saying, but Tash, you don't understand. It's so hard. It's so hard. And like, you know, changing my relationship is hard. And so she just kept saying it. And I stopped her and I'm like, listen, did you just hear what you said? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what is the last thing you just said right now? And she goes, that is hard. And I said, so what are you reaffirming? She's like, that is hard. And I'm like, so what's happening? Well, it's hard. And I'm like, do you see what you are?
It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So I'm like, what if it was easy? And she goes, I don't know. And I'm like, can you say it? And she's like, it's easy. Like, she's looking at me like, the fuck is this bullshit? You know? And I'm like, just say it. Just keep saying it. It's easy. And she's like, okay, well, it's easy.
Have you been coaching her for 10 years?
I have not. I coached her for 3 months and her whole life changed.
Okay, great. Because you'd be a pretty shit
Can you
coach.
imagine? No. Like, that was my whole point, though.
Who was
like
stealing her money?
Oh my God, I don't even know. Like, I was like this, like, it's so, and that's where I'm like, okay, we need people, especially in like the whole spiritual things aspect of the world. It's like, stop spiritually sugarcoating bullshit, because it's not helping everyone.
They're not spiritually sugarcoating. They're just lying.
Whoever was trying to help her previously, whoever that was, like, I don't know who it was, but like, obviously it wasn't helping her, you know, because she's still in that bubble of like, poor me.
Of self-doubt and like misery.
And like, and since then, like literally, and it was funny too, because she even sent me like a meme a couple of days ago. And the meme was like, this is again the norm of the world. Doesn't mean that it's actually normal, but it was like marriage is hard, divorce is hard, choose your hard, fitness is hard.
I saw that.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
That's the shit that's fucking going around right now. And she sent it to me and she's like, should I tell someone that it's easy? And I'm like, yeah, you should. You actually should yell it to everyone.
Well, and you see how unpopular it is to
Yeah.
say that something is not like difficult.
I know.
Like you're gonna get heat. Well, I have this, and I know someone who like. Well,
And that's actually a big block, even for people to be financially abundant and prosperous, because especially in a space where it's easier, like let's say I worked 10 hours a week and I was like making, I don't know, 10, 15 grand a month. Like a lot of us as humans don't want to say that because then we're triggering that potential rejection of the world and society.
well, you don't fit into the tribe if you're making more money than everyone
and then
else.
you can't survive in a tribe. So don't say it, because God forbid, what if you can't survive?
But if you can recognize how ludicrous that is,
Yes.
then you can just choose your words.
So it all comes back
Choose who
down
you're
to
gonna say it to.
awareness.
Yeah, like if you're aware, you can.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
And you know how to read your audience and play your audience, because not
100%.
everyone's on the same vibe.
Nope.
But with awareness, you can go outside yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not about not being true to yourself. It's
Nope.
about being logical.
Yep.
I always look at it like I want to have the most enjoyable interaction with the person that I'm dealing with. And if I can gauge what kind of vibe they are, then I will play to that audience so that we can have a mutually beneficial thing. I don't want to go fight and struggle and battle. Like if someone says something kind of condescending in like a kind of passive aggressive way, I'll be like, yeah, you're right.
Just let them.
You know,
have
and
it.
that always throws people
Yeah,
off.
they're like, what?
Another thing though you were talking about earlier was about we don't let things out, right? We're never expressing it. And it just I'm very vocal now for the last little while. If I need to address something
Yeah.
and set a boundary or voice my dis-ease with something that's going on.
Right.
And that's like it's something that has to be done sometimes. And it's not comfortable. It's I forgot the word I'm looking for, but it's like when you have to bring something up to someone in the moment or whatever. Like for example, I'm very like sensitive to sound, and I'm very irritable when like let's say someone's like slapping their pen or going like that or just moving like this. And the way I see it, and maybe I'm just creating my own narrative, is like someone's movements or sounds are a projection of their frequency, and sometimes it's just
100%.
fucking me up.
Yeah.
And so I'll say, hey, peace and love. Can you stop
and love.
stop
Can you
moving?
fucking
Can you
stop
stop
annoying
tapping?
me?
Yeah, can you stop slapping that pen on the table? Can you stop slapping that gum? And they're never aware of it. But I bring it up, and instead of me not saying anything and being tormented for 2 hours, I say that, and they're totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Totally cool. Sometimes like someone will get really offended.
Yeah. Of course.
But honestly, I don't care.
So why do you think it's so hard for you to express your boundaries?
Oh, I don't think it is. Maybe it was,
Okay.
but it's not now.
It's not anymore.
No, I kind of enjoy it.
Okay, that's good.
Because you know what made me cross that threshold is that I know there are other people like me who don't speak up.
Yes.
And there's people in the room, whether it's someone playing music unreasonably loud at an event that does not require that, and they're totally not mindful of anyone else in the room. I'll say something as the Batman
Right.
of the room, and they might take it very poorly, but I know that everyone else in the room will have benefited from me speaking up. And I've always felt that need to do things like that.
It's humans are big time people pleasers, and we're so afraid of rejection, and we're always, this is what I've summed up for the year, is that we are scared of truth. We take things way too personally. We're always assuming. We are so scared of rejection. We always ask for permission. Think about it. Elementary school, you had to literally
Ask to piss.
for your bodily fluids to be released naturally. Please, sir, miss, can you please give me that fucking grant to go and do that?
Obedience.
Fucking ridiculous. So that's why it's so deep in our programming that even if it's like somebody, this is a big thing that we see all the time now, is like even towards starting your business or healing something or a relation, anything. People are always waiting for that knight in shining armor to come through or your princess to fucking save you. No one's going to save you. No one's going to do it for you. No one. And we're constantly subconsciously waiting for that. Like, oh yeah, it's going to happen one day. Oh yeah, it's going to happen
even in
one
business,
day.
oh, this business deal is going to happen and it's going to oh, I'm going to get this record deal and it's going to change everything.
Yep.
And no, it won't.
No, it won't.
You think they're going to do the consistent work and effort and all this stuff? Like, sure, that would be a great partnership at some point.
Yep.
But I can't put all my eggs in another basket.
You cannot keep giving your power to something else.
It'll always let you down.
Always. Well, okay, so wait.
To give all your power to something?
Yes. Okay, yeah, that I agree with. I was going to say maybe.
Or someone?
Because I question everything all the time. I was like, is this a limiting belief? You know, because it could be. Do I choose to maybe shift that? But I definitely believe that if you put your external power.
I think we can find an
intermittent fasting.
Yes, intermittent fasting. It's like if you're not giving everything and doing all the best work you can, you'll never find that thing that can take you.
Yes.
Like I call it the superhighway.
Yes.
You need to be on the road going 60 miles an hour.
Yep.
If you can't be in the parking lot hoping that someone's going to teleport you somewhere. If you get on the highway and you're cruising and you're consistent, you may find a magic 5D exit that's going to take you somewhere that you could have never imagined. But if you're not on the road, that's what this podcast is. That's what getting the space was.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to, I
love this space, man. Thank you. Like, thanks for inviting me over.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding
This is podcast 5.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's a good number.
It's a great number. So I went to LA, right? For some movie thing, and it led to music thing, and I met a producer, and I met this like record label guy,
I remember.
and all this great stuff.
We were talking about it after we did our breath work. Remember?
Yes. Oh, that was amazing.
Wasn't that so good?
Yeah.
If ever you're in LA, sorry, I'm gonna just say like I'm gonna hop on here, but if ever you're in LA, look up Starbuck Rob on Instagram. He's a breathwork teacher and has the most amazing playlists ever for breathwork. That was class we did.
Oh, it was amazing. I was
so
shaking.
Good. I know. We were so high after. We're like, what is life?
Yeah, no mushrooms, just
no
real.
mushrooms, just breath.
It was amazing. And my body was cramping.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was so good. Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Well, I totally forgot what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I cut you off like a million times.
Apologizing.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's decent apology.
I mean, I could just be like, my bad, instead of like,
whatever.
full sorry.
Yeah.
But
we're Canadian. That's a Canadian thing too. It's a Canadian thing. We apologize for everything.
That was what I was saying at the girls at the retreat. I'm like, no more apologizing for just fucking being. Like,
well, because like this conversation goes where it needs to go.
It does.
We shouldn't apologize because no one's really cutting ourselves off.
No,
we're giving each other time to speak. And then when we speak, we take it where we want to go.
Yeah.
And so LA, one thing led to another. I got this space because I wanted to work on making some videos for my time travel stuff and my future predictions and like fun stuff like that. And that led me to learning about video editing and outsourcing stuff. And it made me more comfortable with the idea of starting a podcast.
Yeah.
I got comfortable with filming and recording and all that stuff. And it led me here. And so it's like when you commit to something, it takes you somewhere, not where you plan on
100%.
going, but it takes you somewhere.
Like even for me now, there's so much. So this is what we were talking about at the beginning. And I was like, oh, let's just keep it for the podcast. But there's like so much showing up that I'm like, I don't even know where this is coming from. Like my one-on-one clients, like I'm booked. Like I don't even think I can take more in.
So is your podcast contributing to that?
I think so. Like I'm getting messages of like, hey, found you on your podcast. Like really love your content. Want to work with you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Like and I find that really cool, but it's really interesting because it wasn't really my intention. My intention was just to, I always kept hearing that like people enjoy my voice. And
it's very soothing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so when I started creating like guided meditations, people were just like, can you do more? Or like, I just want to listen to you talk all day. And I was like, strange. Okay.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's my voice. Like, I don't know, whatever. So, and I feel like I have quite an active like throat chakra or like an energy that's just like, there's a lot of speaking. I love talking to my stories. I'm not shy. Like I'm very open and I love to share. And for me, I think humans learn best through stories and conversations. I think it's the best way for us to be like, wow, whatever, like he said that, it really stuck with me. Or like, we hear stories and we create these images in our heads and we're like, whoa, like that's crazy or whatever. So that's why I created my podcast. I was like, this is really going to help a lot of people.
It's a perfect vessel for you.
Yeah.
Because, like some people are really tall and athletic, so they play basketball.
Yeah.
You have a super developed throat chakra. So podcast, here we come. But long form conversation is the most beautiful way
Yes.
to dive into people's minds. And it's like people are sitting in the room.
Exactly.
And they're listening and they're just as part of it as we are.
And we're sharing an energy that they're taking in too.
It's all good vibes.
It's good vibes.
And that can't be done. That's something that I always stayed away from. I never, in person, I was always great at it because that was my natural thing to do.
Right.
But I never figured out how to do it in an online way.
I know.
Always way too dry humor or really weird stuff that's like very artistic. So you never really know. And it's how do you get a conversation out? And this is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
And the most beautiful thing about a podcast too, for anyone who wants to start a podcast, and a big thing when you're starting something is you may be, the first followers that we have on our Instagram or wherever are usually like people we know, friends.
Right.
And there's usually the ones that like we think about the most when we're putting out our stuff. But those people that we're worried about their opinions or whatever it may be, when it comes to long form content, they're too lazy.
Yeah.
They'll never go listen.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
Which means that it's like you can go and be yourself and do whatever you want and not worry, because if it takes more than 3 seconds to read something you did and judge you, they can't do it on a podcast.
No.
So it's like a super free thing as well.
100%. And it's really funny because even in that aspect, like I've thought about multiple times, like if ever my family listens to this, I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like they can listen to this. And because I'm not here to repress or not speak about my experience just because it makes somebody else feel uncomfortable. That is not why I'm here. So for me, it was like a fuck yes. And I just remembered also, like there's this girl that I had a few sessions with, but she found me through my podcast, and she's from Finland. And when my retreat came out, it sold out in 24 hours, first of all.
Amazing.
I know. My first retreat. I was mind
So
blown.
we need to talk about this next.
We
So
do need
finish
to talk
this.
about this,
Like,
yeah.
not finish. Go as far as you want, but then we'll talk about your retreat, because that's what we wanted to talk about at the beginning.
I know. And we just like skip this whole way.
And we're 2 hours in now.
Wow.
I know.
That's wild.
I know. But
what just happened?
I know. Well, there's no limit. So
I love it. So she messaged me and she booked a session, and then she bought my guided meditations on my website, which actually took down for now because I'm in a moment of like restructuring things and whatever. And I was like, I saw her name, like she followed me, and I was like, oh, like I remembered her name. And then she bought my guided meditations, and I was like, same name. I'm assuming it's the same person.
And it's probably a very specific Finnish kind of name.
Yeah, it's not like your usual name. And then I posted my retreat, and it was open to purchase. And I honestly could not believe it was sold out in 24 hours. But I saw the name again, and I was like, what? Like,
that person didn't come from Finland.
So hold on, I'll explain. So, and then like 3 days later, I had a session with her. Like she booked me online. So again, the name showed up, and I'm like, oh my God, it's the same girl. Like, did she actually book my retreat from Finland? Like what? So we get on the call, and I'm like, can I ask, like, was it you that bought the ticket for my retreat? And she's like, yeah, I'm coming to Canada, and I'm making like the retreat, like my go-to, but I'm going to stay there for 3 months. And I was like, a what?
Wow.
Like mind blown. And that's one person, right?
That is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You just maybe changed the course of someone's life.
Yep. I know. And so what happened, unfortunately, is that the lockdown happened again. So she's like, I can't come because they won't let me in. And I was like, fuck.
Well, if she says that, then that's what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well,
No.
I'm just being an asshole.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's wild.
So I had to, in the end, I had to refund her, which
Okay.
was a pleasure. Like, it's okay. Like, it was
Yeah.
fine.
But what a commitment.
What a fucking commitment. And it was incredible. And she still wants to work with me, and et cetera, et cetera. And even my Monergy was at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and my webinar, and she showed up, and it was 3 a.m. for her. She showed up live. And I had another girl from Hungary do the same thing, and another girl from the UK at like 1 a.m.
So this is the beautiful thing about podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's where they're discovering you.
Yeah.
And so you can set yourself up like as bad as, not as bad, but the pros and cons of a connected world are that we can potentially lose touch with our natural states.
Yep.
But at the same time, it allows this connection to happen where you can be an entrepreneur and you can set up your essentially mobile business and do it from your computer and be able to use your podcast as a marketing tool where you're giving. Like, you said you got to give. You're giving
consciously
just by
giving.
doing your podcast.
Yeah.
You're giving.
Consciously
You're
giving.
taking away when you don't post a podcast.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
exactly. Like I'm being of no service.
So you're giving, and like from my business brain, this is your sales funnel. Your podcast is your sales funnel.
Yeah.
And it's bringing people in and and you're giving value for free.
Over
And then you're going to
over
convert a small percentage. And as your pipeline grows, the percentage becomes a bigger number.
Yep.
And you're just going to sell more classes and do more things. And perhaps it'll lead you to do tours where you can go talk and do meditations in different
Honestly,
cities.
man, it's starting.
That's the world that you are creating for yourself.
I know. It's what, like I even just there's this new app that got released 3 months ago that is, I don't know if it's like sponsored or supported by U Academy. Do you know that website? It's like small little courses you can buy on anything. It's like most of them are like on sale half the time of like $20 instead of like $300-$400, whatever. It's a $1.5 billion industry. And so this app is like it's a platform for learning through stories, like a kind of like an Instagram story format. And it's like some classes a chapter could be like 40 minutes long kind of thing. And you can learn anything, play piano, self-healing, permaculture, whatever you want, like whatever it is, walking in the woods, whatever you want. And they contacted me and they want me to create courses for them. And
amazing.
I know. And it would be so awesome because it's like, and it's
what you do.
I had put it out there. I was like, I want to create courses. So like I had created my first course and it was very simple. It was on a Google Drive. Like it was like, I was like, I don't care how fucking basic it is. I just need to put out this information now. I created this course in 5 days at the beginning of COVID. It was so like, I think I told you about this on my podcast actually. Anyways, and then I was like, you know what? I'm ready to kind of like level up. I want like a platform that's more professional. That's really easy for people to like, do a lesson, click complete. It's very like interactive and whatnot. So I have Kajabi now, which has been really helpful. And I'm probably going to create a membership space as well for people to get like more one-on-one info and content from me. And, but I had put it out there. I was like, I want to create more courses and I want to reach a different type of audience, like my Instagram's booming and it's awesome and it's fun and my engagement is great, but like I want a different type of audience. And then this just randomly showed up.
So you've added the podcast audience. Now you're adding this new course style audience.
Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah, I know. It's just like everything has been so busy lately that like I'm supposed to finish like a 13-minute video for something to kind of like start my process with them. But I'm really looking forward to it.
You're going to finish it.
I know.
Very shortly.
I know. I think there's like actually a part of me that's like avoiding it or like resisting it or creating a story around the fact that I don't have time because I feel scary to like commit to something that's
bullshit.
Like,
Come on.
I know. I'm going to have to message you and be like, help me get out of this fucking funk.
No problem. I'm a bro self-healer coach,
Exactly. So yeah, there's and the retreat, right? The retreat was
okay. So don't just like ease into. Oh yeah. So the retreat. What is this retreat? Tell me about it.
Okay.
Tell the trillions out there in the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
What this is about.
So this was really interesting. I was in California and I was thinking about going to Costa Rica for a couple months or even the winter. So I was kind of like starting to plan that. And again, it felt more forceful than empowered. Remember like low states versus high states?
Felt like you were pushing against the grain.
Yes. So I was like, I need to take a step back and see what is not in alignment. And then I did a meditation and I was like, okay, what would feel the most aligned for me right now? And I found myself in my apartment. And I was like, what the fuck, really? Like, not by a beach? Like, I have the option. Like, I can go to a fucking beach. But no, like, I was called to go back home. And I was like, all right, like, awesome. I love my home. So I'm like, I guess I'm going back home. So I made that decision. Within the next day, I'm like, wow, I need to host a retreat. Like, it just came, like, it was just clear. And I was like, okay. Like,
felt right.
Yep. the next day. And then that afternoon, I went on Airbnb, started looking at options. You know, I was like, lots of bedrooms. I'm very specific about the energy that I want in the space, obviously, because it's going to be a healing retreat. So I need to feel connected to it.
Of course.
So the second listing I see, boom, click on it, availability, second to last week of October. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's $2,500. I'm like, yep. Okay, well, that's the one. I just booked it. That's it. And super calm. To me, that's when when you make a decision and you're completely at peace with it. And so I booked it. And then the next day I'm like, all right, I need helpers. So I got my friend to come, Clarissa. It's okay to say her name here.
Okay, great. Shout out Clarissa.
Shout out to Clarissa.
It's a great name.
It is.
You don't hear Clarissa every day.
Clarissa Casano.
Wow.
She's Italian. Yeah. She moved here from Italy 6 years ago. She's
Amazing.
an angel. So I got her to come. And then I had my friend who was also supposed to come too to help with cooking. Within 12 hours, I put up all the information. I created a whole other page on my website for the retreat to explain what's going to be there. I created the schedule within 10 minutes. I was like, boom, 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 boom. What's the price? $6.99. Perfect. Everything included. Food, stay, workshops, everything. Just fucking show up. And within that 24 hours, so within 3 days, I found a place, put together a retreat, found my team, put it up online, and was sold out.
Sold out.
Sold
show.
out. 15 people, sold out.
Amazing.
I was like, what?
Look at you.
Fuck?
You are booming. That's called monergy.
I know, it was
That's monergy.
because guess what? My intention was so fucking clear. I'm not kidding. That's how monergy works. Like, it was not to make money. I would have been totally fine financially, like more than fine if I didn't do this. My purpose behind this was to create a safe and sacred space for women to come through and to actually experience what I do as an energy exchange. There's a big difference between doing work online and through Zoom and FaceTime and literally feeling my energy.
Yes, totally different.
Completely different. So that happened. And then the second lockdown wave came through in Montreal. I was still in California. I was like, fuck, like, what do I do? And I was like, okay, I messaged everyone. I said, let's just give me some space and time to think about this. I just need to think. Because in my mind, it was like, none of that would have happened so fluidly if I was supposed to cancel it. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. So universe, you told me this actually.
Whoa.
You told me this. I will never forget this. This was 2 years ago. The universe never reverse psychology. It never does reverse psychology on your ass.
Because you were asking me about that. Like,
And
what
I
if
was
it's
like,
a test? What is this?
And you're like,
I think
no.
the lockdown was a test.
Yeah.
And you just kept going.
And I was like, you know
said,
what?
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Because we got to say fuck it sometimes.
I said, fuck it. You know what actually made the difference? So I was waiting. I was putting it out there. I was like, universe, send me a fucking sign. I need a fucking sign. And I was like, stay calm. I watched a movie, which I was actually very resistant to, which I thought was really funny.
What movie?
The Glorias.
The Glorias.
Yeah. It's on Amazon Prime or Prime Video, whatever. And it's about Gloria Steinem, who is one of the first women who started the women's rights movement in the States. And she got abortions to be legal for women because at the time getting raped was so normalized and women would get pregnant and then can't get abortions, which is so fucked up, right? So she fought for that and she went against everything to make this happen for women intentionally. And she fucking opened everything up for all of us. And I still cannot believe that we don't talk about this in history. Like, I asked my mom, I was like, did you know about this woman? She's like, no. I'm like, are you kidding?
I never heard about her.
I know, but it's, I mean, I feel like it's a little, maybe it's like sexist. I don't know, but it's a bit more normal that like, you don't know about it maybe because you're a man. But like the fact that as a woman, I was like, how do I not know about the woman who
and why were you resistant to watching it?
I was like, oh, fuck this documentary, another fucking feminist shit. Like, I don't know.
I feel the same way when it comes to documentaries or like super empowering things.
Yeah.
I think it's my ego just trying to not pump me up.
Yes, 100%. It tried to keep me down. And I was like, you know what? Let's fucking watch it. So I watched it with my mom and I saw this and I was like, that's my sign. She never conformed. You think she fucking was like, oh, wait, there's a law that we can't do this, like must stay small. No, she fought.
Whoever did anything by following the rules.
Exactly my fucking point. And I'm like,
so you got to be bold.
I had to be bold. And so I started doing my research. I'm like, technically, is it legal? Is it illegal? I don't know what I'm doing. I messaged the Airbnb girl. I'm like, how do you feel about us coming? There's a few that actually, like, I told all the girls, I said, listen, this is my game plan. I Zoomed all of them. I was like, Zoom this time, everybody show up, let's talk. And I told them, I said, I want to keep this going. this is more important to me than ever right now. We need people to heal themselves. They need to energetically shift. We need to raise consciousness right now. It's not even a negotiable. Like, we need this. And I was like, you know what? Everybody get tested the week of. If you test positive, I will give you your money back. No problem. You self-isolate till you come to the retreat house, even though technically, personally, on the side note, I don't really fully believe in it, but whatever. So I was like, I want everybody to feel comfortable. And especially even legally, if they show up and they're like, oh, COVID, I'll be like, everyone tested negative, man. Like, you can't say anything about this shit. On top of it,
Okay, so you didn't break the rules at all.
No, and on top of it, I found a space where it said that legally corporate private events can happen in an orange zone. We're technically in the red zone, but in an orange zone. So where the retreat
Okay, so you
house
didn't break any rules.
No, I didn't.
What?
But it's very easy to get a lot of shame for it, though, from other people being like, "Oh, you fucking fuckers, you idiots! It's because of you that COVID is still on."
I have an old saying. It's a very philosophical term.
Tell me.
And it's called "fuck 'em."
Yep. So philosophical. I
Fuck
love
'em.
it. But it
You
was.
just got to do it, and
But
you made it happen. And you're putting this out there, and you have to.
It was scary.
You have
though.
to do what you believe.
It was scary. I will fully admit, right? I was scared.
What were you afraid of?
So I was actually super like calm about it. And I was like, Kate, like, this is what we're doing. It feels right. Everything is right. Everything's flowing. Everything's aligned. It's perfect. All the girls were like, fuck yeah. I was like, fuck yeah. Everything's good. Then I had a client who wanted to, so I had to give back 2 refunds, I think, because they didn't feel comfortable with it. And I was like, that's completely fine. I understand. I don't even want that energy in that space anyways. So
Fair.
No problem. And they were coming from Toronto too. So it was like 6-hour drive. And they're like, what if they stop me? And it's sketchy, whatever. So I had another client that wanted to come last minute. And she's like, and she was really resistant and she's an avoider. So I'm like, let's talk about it. So I was on the phone with her a lot and trying to like kind of coach her through. It wasn't about the money. Again, I'm like, this is going to be really good for you, you know? And again, my purpose is to, not in this lifetime, but just with her and the coaching is to like, tell her what she can't see for herself, right? So I'm trying to tell her like, you know, there's a tendency to avoid. So do you think maybe you're resisting to it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And she's like that. She told me that cops would show up and they would find all of us. And then it just like swallowed me. I was like, oh my God, can this happen? Like, can they do?
Like raid it?
I don't know. Well, actually, technically, I don't know if you heard, but there was a party at an Airbnb of 83 people last weekend.
Yeah, but that's excessive.
I know, 83 people.
83 people.
We were 12.
You're 12 doing silent meditation.
I know.
No one's going to fucking find you.
I know. But it's still...
So you said 12, so I guess she didn't come.
She didn't come.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, but it overwhelmed me. And I really had to...
You muscled through.
I did. 100%. Again,
and
I had to remember.
And you took the precautions.
I did.
You didn't go rogue.
Nope. I was very careful and I was responsible and also tuning into the deeper intention and knowing that this was needed. And so it was fucking magical. Everything flowed. We had lots of release, lots of connection, lots of healing, lots of meditation and yoga. And we even did tribal healing, which is my newest thing that I'm including now. What
is tribal healing? Is it the cousin of animal flow?
No, it's I basically guide these women into tuning into their animalistic senses. And
sounds spicy.
It's fucking spicy.
Oh my Lord.
If somebody watched us, they'd probably be like, what the actual fuck is happening?
I'm picturing all nudity.
Yeah, that's not what happened. But I'm sure that a lot of men, we were talking about it, I'm like, for sure men are going to think that we're fucking nuts and like we're all, you know, touching each other and shit. But no, so it was a lot of like a deep tuning in, music that could trigger a certain type of coding within them that they would remember, that like Amazonian kind of vibe within them, like ancestor, like, I don't know, it's really powerful. And then we all got up, eyes closed the whole time, and we got up, and then I was guiding them into like really strong, like foot thumping and like heavy breathing and just like full energetic release. And then I would like, if I felt resistance towards a woman, I would go right in front of her and I would like tell her, like, look at me in the eyes and just follow my movement, and she'd follow me. And then I'd be like, what wants to come out right now? And I'm yelling because the music is fucking blasting and it's full like full yell, full like at the top of your lungs, like you're red, there's nothing that can more come out. And then the tears and the tears and the tears and the tears and the tears. And
this happened with everyone?
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
It was an hour and a half of that. It was
Bet you all slept like babies that night.
nope, because they were all.
Wound up.
Guess what happened? There's no way you can guess. Let me just tell you.
There's no chance. And whatever I'm going to say is going to be absurd.
I did not know that the place I rented was an old convent.
No way.
So I got there and I'm like, holy fuck. It says like in French, le couvent. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I rented a convent that was renovated. So you can just imagine the energy in that place. So it was great energy, but it's very powerful energy. So a lot of women, or people, just people in general, if they're not kind of like aware of that type of energy, they get really scared. So there was a lot of like, the second night we all slept, we brought our mattresses down and slept all together in the same space because there was a lot of girls that were like, oh my God, I heard so many things. Like there were so many things happening. I heard footsteps, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so there's some like,
there's definitely some energy
some vibes
there.
in there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Some weird vibes.
But it was really good. It was good vibes. So I just thought it was hilarious because I'm doing a spiritual healing retreat and I rented a fucking convent.
Amazing.
It was hilarious.
Look, it all worked out.
It all worked out. It was fantastic.
And there was no one rated it.
No one rated it.
Because you can't be afraid. Like at Thanksgiving, people were afraid of being rated.
Did you hear about the news for Christmas?
Enlighten me. Or do we want to say it? Or do we want to manifest a Christmas? Let's manifest a Christmas.
Okay.
So what I'm doing for Christmas, because the laws will have all changed,
right,
is that I'm going to have a lovely party with my family.
Beautiful.
At my place. My buddy Donnie Deakis is going to come because he's essentially my brother.
Yes.
He's going to be on episode 900.
Donnie, man.
He's going to be on episode 999.
999. Wow.
Because when it's at like 5 million per episode,
right,
he needs that. Like I can't just bring him on. He needs an audience.
He does.
And it's going to be a beautiful Christmas, and all the families, whether they're Jewish or whatever.
So I might just come because I don't think my dad's going to welcome me into his home.
Oh, no?
I'm not kidding.
Okay, well, look. But we're manifesting. Or do you want to manifest him not wanting you to come?
Maybe I'm manifesting just coming to your Christmas party.
Okay, well, it's going to be lit. It's going to be amazing.
I'm down, man. I'm down.
A lovely Christmas party.
It will be a lovely Christmas party.
And we're going to rock Christmas in space. That's my
I need
Christmas
a space
song.
suit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, maybe you might have some actually.
Oh, I'm super down.
Yeah. So that's what we're manifesting for Christmas.
Perfect.
Because I assume the laws that they're saying are just horse shit.
Yeah. Even like, I'm not even getting into it. You know what? I can feel myself going that COVID tangent right now, and about people posting of like, stop seeing people. You're the reason why the lockdown's on. I'm like, you are so blind.
Apparently they're saying that states with the biggest lockdowns are having the worst cases.
Yes, they are.
So
California's numbers are going down, even though they weren't up in the first place, to be honest. But
all that to say as well that I am a lazy fuck. I do no research. I watch,
honestly, fuck it.
I watch people that I tend to like and trust, and I go with what they say.
Yeah.
So don't take my opinion here.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into the research.
Yeah. Meaning, honestly, I haven't either. I just like my friend, one of my best friends is like deep in the rabbit hole of all of this.
We always have a friend.
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
There's like always this one person.
Well,
right?
there has to be.
There has to be. Like, thanks, dude. Like, you're taking care of the shit that I don't want to take care of.
Yeah.
And every time I have a question about COVID, he answers me. So.
And do the answers side more on the side that you're vibing on or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Or else we would not be friends, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't want people like that in my life.
But like, data is hard to go through, and people are easily to poke emotionally.
Yes.
And you can pull data and create whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
At the end of the day, I have a very simplistic attitude towards everything. And it's keep a healthy immune system.
Yep.
I'm not going to go around licking elevator buttons.
Nope.
Like I used to.
Wow.
And I can't wait till I can again. Because I'm a thirsty boy.
Wow, you're so thirsty.
And really, that's it. I make sure to get my 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Work out 3-4 times a week.
Yep.
Eat well.
Yep.
Have some donuts here and there.
Have beautiful conversations with beautiful people.
You know how good this is for the immune system?
I know, it's fucking fantastic.
And not to mention lockdowns and not seeing people, how bad that is for
that
people's
is
immune
so bad
systems.
for the immune system. We thrive in tribes as humans.
Yeah. And
it boosts our immune system. People die of loneliness.
Oh, yes. And when you're separated, what can you do? You need to feed it. Like right now, this is nutritional vibing.
Yep.
Right?
People don't believe me that I say that I'm high on life. I don't eat. They don't believe me.
When you're high on life, you don't eat?
Yep.
Well, you're not hungry because you're getting all the I see it like from the neurotransmitters.
Yep.
You're like, we're getting dopamine, oxytocin. I'm going to
Yep.
slap you on the shoulder after.
Can't
You know,
wait.
we're going to get those vibes.
Yep.
And that's like a chemical cocktail
Yep.
that is second to none.
So did you know, sorry to completely cut you off, but it just came through.
No, I was ranting. I was rambling.
So 99.999999 of everything that we inhale is completely empty. It has nothing in it.
I know, it's empty space.
Exactly. So the only thing that actually drives that fulfillment from within, that nourishes us, is the intention that we have around it. It's what we choose to put into it that has an effect in our bodies.
So it's like a hollow vessel, and
Yep.
whatever we believe we're
Yep.
getting from it,
Yep.
we will get from it.
Exactly. So I'm not saying I believe in breatharians. Have you heard of that concept yet?
Yeah, but they don't last very long.
No, exactly. So I don't believe in that, but I'm saying people who are unfulfilled with life tend to binge a lot more and feed their bodies with really shit food or too much food because there's an empty void that will never be filled.
I know that absolutely firsthand.
Me too.
And it's something that it's like it doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. So
Like-
you need to understand. Yeah, I completely understand. I've been there too, 100%. And I'm at a point, like even at the retreat, like I was eating one meal and I was having my bulletproof coffee in the morning. This podcast is sponsored by Bulletproof.
But yeah, I keep saying in the year 2023 or 2022 we'll be
Dave
sponsored by.
Asprey, man, we love your shit. Just fucking sponsor us.
He's gonna be on. He's gonna be on.
We're manifesting that, and I'm gonna be friends
We
with him.
absolutely are.
Yes,
We're already friends.
we're already friends with him.
We're talking the same talk.
We are.
And he's going to discover us
He's
because
here.
we're two young, lively new podcasters on the scene, spreading the good vibe, talking
Fucking
about
great.
the immune system.
Yeah, he's gonna love and the microbiome,
Biohacking.
and fucking biohacking your life, man. I'm all about that
on.
shit.
You're gonna be on the show before me. You're gonna be on his Bulletproof podcast before me.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
gonna
It's gonna be
happen.
fantastic. So
It's gonna
you
be-
had your Bulletproof,
Yes.
and then you had your meal, and that's all you needed.
Barely, actually. I had my bulletproof coffee. I spoke with a friend, got fed from that conversation, had a coaching call, got fed from that conversation. And then even this morning, I just got a new bike actually, which is really nice at my
Saw
place.
that. And I
Yeah,
got
it's
the treadmill
fucking
the same
dope.
day.
Right, you told me.
Yeah.
I'm loving it so much. So I did that. I did like my 45 minutes of cycling in the morning, had my bulletproof, took a shower, did a meditation, had a conversation, had coaching, fed. I'm like, fuck yeah, life is fucking great. And then I'm like, oh shit, I need to go. Wait,
I need to eat.
I probably will need to eat, even though like I'm good, but I know that my physical vessel needs nutrients right now because that's really important. You can't just not eat. Like you need to take care of this vessel if you want to do what you want to do in this lifetime on this planet. So a lot of people go there. That's why they get kind of lost up here and don't. And I'm saying up here like in the source cosmos, like they get lost spiritually and then they don't feed their vessels and then they get sick.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So yeah, I had like a bowl of oatmeal, like very simple with some, my mushrooms inside and my collagen and my fats and whatever, just like good.
A nice, well-rounded
A nice,
meal.
good meal. Yeah. And then I came here and like, yeah, I'm chill. Like I can feel kind of my
that was
body.
today?
That was today.
Wow, what a day you're having
I
today.
know. All my days are
And I
fucking
appreciate you
fantastic.
bringing me these vibes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because I was in a deep, dark place.
Were you?
No.
Absolutely
no,
not. I don't think I was.
I've had a great last few days. Like
Yeah.
last Friday after my
Yeah.
podcast, old buddy of mine who was on the pod, healthy, like you're going to love that podcast, Rob.
Right.
And we ended up going old school.
Oh,
like,
man.
when there's just so much vibes, you're like,
Yeah.
let's have a few drinks. Let's
Yeah,
let
yeah,
her
yeah,
rip.
yeah.
Oh, and we did. And we had some gummy bears. And
When
we had
did you recover?
way too much wine. Tuesday. Yesterday.
What day? Oh, fuck. Really, dude?
Yeah.
Wow.
But now I hack it. Like I almost don't drink,
Right.
but I did. But I do know that when I drink, I take a lot of electrolytes. So I had
Interesting.
no hangover feeling, no nausea, no nothing.
It was just like the vibration of it.
Oh yeah. You like,
Well,
you know,
alcohol has no
the
vibration at all.
shame lower, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like that was like the worst.
Oh god.
But I wasn't nauseous.
Right.
So pro swing.
Yay.
So what did I do Saturday? Oh, I don't even want to tell you. Well, I'll say it because you know what, fellow
Did
time
you
travelers.
donuts? Krispy Kreme, Domino's.
I wasn't in the mood for donuts, believe it or not.
what?
I had 2 Bella sandwiches
Oh, the
from
little
Clark's
one.
Cafe. Like 2 huge sandwiches.
Right.
Or as my Italian friends say, sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
And I had an oatmeal cookie. I had
Those are bomb.
a cannoli. I went really Italian, I guess. Ew.
I don't like cannolis.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
whatever. Let's just say I had Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Haagen-Dazs.
Well, you want like Haagen-Dazs? Well, you say Maz.
I love it.
So I had 4,800 calories because I track because I like to track. It makes me feel good.
Okay.
And Sunday I couldn't eat it all. I was shot. And then Monday I was still on the mend. Coming back, and then Tuesday was good, and now we're back here. But all that to say is that I was vibing well, and then you brought me even better vibes.
Oh, good. I have so much to give, honestly. I'm not talking. Oops. Yeah, I said I have so much to give.
Okay,
I've been on this high for like...
Well, I feel it. I can see it. And you know, you said like someone will look at you and they said like they don't know you're a spiritual guru.
Yeah.
I think you are.
Oh, they
when
can
I look
feel
at you.
me.
I see you and I'm like, yeah. You might look like you're in the Cranberries in 1994.
I know. I'm like wearing
you look like a punker.
I do look like a punker. I have like a big combat boots. They're flashy red. I have like a really long shirt. Actually, it's a men's
they can
shirt,
see it.
But if somebody's listening to this, maybe they may not see it.
No, they're all going to see it because they're going to want to see
They're
it.
Gonna
And
be
they're
like,
going to
I need to check out what this girl looks like. Yeah. So I'm pretty cash, but I like it this way too. I just dress whatever I feel. To be honest, it could be very different every single day. I could dress like one day with like my hair up and like hoops and like full makeup, and then sometimes I'm like a skater dude, and I'm like loving it.
He was a skater boy.
But my pleasure around that is like, even it's again, I'm not identifying myself with how I look like. I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, I am doing the absolute opposite.
Yeah,
I wear the exact same thing every single day. I've literally made a uniform.
I know.
But I've always been like that.
I remember.
And that's probably from childhood. I went to private school. I always
Me
wear
too.
a uniform.
Nope, that doesn't count. You don't win here because I did the same thing.
Okay, well, maybe you were rebelling and I'm not.
That's true.
I'm conforming.
You're conforming.
But I love the idea of a uniform. And I love, like...
Well, at least they say like, what's the guy's name? I forget his name. Mark Zuckerberg. He said like he only wears the same shit. Like what?
And Steve Jobs and all this.
Yeah, all this stuff, because apparently like your decision making is like very limited during your day. But again, don't you think maybe that's a limiting belief? Because I don't believe that.
I do, because it hits me hard.
Yep.
I do believe it.
You do believe it.
Because I see our daily discipline, I see it as a tank.
Right.
And every decision is taking out of that discipline tank.
Right.
And so if you're blowing it on like 40 minutes, making 800 decisions on what you're going to wear,
right,
you might be able to make decisions during the day, but like 6 o'clock comes around and you have no more willpower.
So I guess it's more like, again, because for me, it's like, I don't really think about it. I'm just like, I have an image in my head and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll just wear that. It sounds fun.
Well, because you have swag and you have style.
Do I?
I don't. Yeah,
Oh
you
my
do.
God.
You rock everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So when you have swag and style, it's not a work, but I think me and Zuckerberg don't share.
You have swag. I see your little jean jackets and your little white tops and your same basic jeans you wear all the time.
I would still...
So it's a style.
On the spectrum of you and Zuckerberg, I'm closer to Zuckerberg in terms of choosing clothes.
Yes, definitely.
So I rather just wear the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, I don't have to think about it.
Yep.
I have 18 white t-shirts. And then I wear my Galactic. This is my Galactic time travel outfit.
I want
casual.
One. I want a matching tracksuit.
Okay, well, they're coming soon. Nike is actually going to make those in 2023.
Wow.
Like, they'll be like the new Jordans.
Yeah.
So this tracksuit with the shoulder pads and everything,
I love it,
are going to be made. So to bookend this a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. 2 hours and 26 minutes.
You started this by saying that you were healing stuff with your mom, and we never got into it. So how about we get into that, and then we tell the world and the Galactic Federation how to find you, what you're doing, how to get coached by you, how to follow your podcast, all these great things.
Yes. Okay.
So if you care to share.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's like much left over from that.
What if you make a fun, like, what was there to work on? What did you discover? And then how did you do it? And how it all ended nice and pretty.
Right. So remember how
because I'm curious
how I wrote those little questions and answers.
Yes.
So it was really weird. So I got the 7-year-old. She's at home. I guess people are gonna have to listen to the whole podcast to hear the end of this story.
Yeah.
So 7 years old. She's at school. She's angry.
She being you. You're talking to your inner child.
I am talking to my inner
child. So your adult self, let's say, is your right hand, and
Yep.
your inner child is answering with your left hand.
Yep. And so she's answering. She's 7. She's at school. Mom forgot about me. I'm sad. I'm angry. I'm hurt. And then I wrote something else that was like along the lines of, I don't know how to do it anymore. That was my inner child answering. And I was like, do what? And it said basically like take care of herself. Like she didn't know how to take care of herself at that point. And I was like, that really hit me. Like that was like,
so the 7-year-old didn't know how to take care of herself.
yeah. She's like, I wrote, I don't remember the question, but I remember the answer of like, I don't know how to do it anymore. And I wrote, do what? Like do what, how? And it said like, I don't know how to take care of myself anymore. Like as though my mom had been taking care of me this whole time. And now I feel like my survival is being threatened. Like I don't know what to do. Like, and that felt really strong in my system. So when I was doing that exercise, I was actually at the beach by the ocean after meditation, and I went back home, and she knew I was like on this path to heal this. And so I spoke to her and I said, all right, so I asked these questions. This is what came through, but I can't remember what happened when I was 7. Because I told her, I said, I asked what age I was, and I was 7. And I said, automatically, as I said, 7 years old, the lights turned off in our apartment.
No.
It just like, yeah. And I was like, and my mom was like, holy fuck, like full shivers, like she was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I don't know. And I was like, what happened when I was 7? And she's like, that's the year I started the business. And I thought, really? I thought I was 9. And she's like, no, you were 7. And I was like, okay, well, that makes a lot of fucking sense. You know, like, bye mom, you know, never coming back basically is my thought pattern when I was a kid. And then I just felt like there was a lot of anger and resentment. And I feel like that's where that impatience was coming from with her, you know, anytime that she was like not available to me in a way that my inner child wanted her to be, because it still shows up in our adult life. And I really believe that if we're able to live in parallel to our inner child, it's actually a beautiful gift, and a lot can come through. And a lot of us lived perpendicular to it, which is, it blocks. We block ourselves from tapping into our deepest truths. And so then I had some San Pedro, some wachuma, which is a cactus. It's a plant medicine. And you don't see any hallucinations, but there's a lot of clarity and a lot of energetic movement that happens in the body to clear energetically, you know, gunk, whatever. So I did wachuma, and I was cleansing myself, and I was doing it purposely, intentionally to heal my relationship with my mom, and also the lineage we have on my mom's side of women, which had a lot of abandonment and people pleasing, a lot of depending on others for happiness too. We take on those things in our DNA. Literally, when we're in our mother's womb, we take on her fears and her limiting beliefs and the traumas, because those all sit in the nervous system, and we take that on as babies. So that was really strong. And also my grandfather was really sick, and when she was pregnant with me, and so automatically that feeling of abandonment was already in her system. So I was born with it. Because within a month that I was born, he died. Like it was, okay. And so those things play a big part, you know. My dad kind of has the same thing, which is really interesting, because he was in his mom's stomach when his brother of 3 years old had cancer and died.
Oh, that's heavy.
So you can just imagine the emotion he was taking on from his mother. Because
we're just absorbing that energy,
we're absorbing
whether
everything,
we know it or not.
100%. And my dad definitely has those traumas that I don't really know he's aware of, and I doubt he'll ever listen to this. But very interesting that it was a constant reoccurring pattern in my family.
And do you think that that's kind of an energy that led your parents together, because it was a
both
similar frequency?
Wound.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And here I am breaking that for both my family.
Yeah. Breaking the chain.
100%. Like I think if there's one reason why, or an intention as to why you want to do the inner healing work, that should definitely be one, because we need another generation that is going to be not trauma free. There's also always going to be trauma, but at least let's break it, you know, like let's start doing the fucking work.
Let's
already.
give them a chance.
Let's give them a fucking chance.
Let's let them start all nice and easy breezy.
Yeah. And so I did wachuma, and I healed that, and she was by my side, and everything was clear and happy and good. And she did some wachuma 3 days later, and I held space for her.
Did you give her any trauma? She's like, oh, fuck. No. Her again. My child.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it works. Fucking downer. This fucking psycho.
This kid just came in here and fucked my life.
basically. But she had her own healing to do too, and so her own realizations with her own father. And even when I came back home too, I had some realizations about my dad that came through again, where on my dad's side of the family, it flashed right before my eyes in a meditation, where there's a belief and a deep sensation or energy where wherever there is love, there is anger. Every person in my family, my dad's side, is divorced and remarried. There's a lot of blame. There's a lot of abandonment. There's a lot of pointing fingers. There's a lot of anger. And I realized I took that on.
You have that?
Not anymore. Happy to say, not anymore.
Great.
But I can definitely, and it wasn't as like extreme as their experiences. I think it was kind of like a residue that I felt was definitely in my space. Because even like, I remember like certain relationships or situations or experiences with people, I could feel again, like that anger rising towards my partner. And I like to a point where I'm like, I have no idea why I'm feeling this. And I'm telling him, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling this right now, but I feel anger rising. And I realized it was because like there was always this need to blame or to be angry. Like if I wasn't angry, then it's not love.
Okay.
And I was so like, holy fuck.
And so this realization was like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
And so that happened when you came home.
Yeah. That was like 2 weekends ago.
Wow. Yeah. So now you're a whole new Tasha Kredl.
You can't feel it, Mick?
Oh yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it. You're so much less hateful. I could feel that.
I don't even think I was hateful before.
No, you weren't hateful at all. Come on. Because look, you go down the rabbit hole too, right? So sometimes it's like,
absolutely.
Sometimes do we even need to know all this shit? Maybe yes, maybe no.
I do, yeah. But I feel like in when I had that realization, I was able to create more space to be able to welcome in a partner that is in alignment with me.
And has that happened?
No.
Okay.
But I'm patient. It's okay.
Yeah.
I know that I don't even know who. It doesn't matter. My point is like that person's going to be in alignment, and it's going to be not from a trauma bonded place, which matters the most to me.
Yeah, you're not going to be from a low frequency common denominator.
Or like pulling in all my traumas from my families or whatever. Like it's going to be in a very loving space. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be magical.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be yeah. So that's basically.
And so when you wrap that up with your mom,
yeah.
How was it after? Were you less impatient with her?
Everything shifted. Like our communication completely changed. But because that's the thing, that's what I always tell people is that when you communicate with somebody, 70% is energy, 30% is words. That's all it is. So the way that we were talking to each other and together, just conversing, was very different.
And were you able to observe yourself? Because I find myself like with my mother, for example, it's easy for me to go to a reactive place where I kind of want to make fire.
Yep.
I want to make that fire. But now, like when I'm in a good flow, I am more observant of myself.
Right.
And I could choose my words more wisely and just have, like I said earlier, just a more enjoyable experience with that other person. And it's great. Like I can always hit these buttons, but those buttons are usually when I'm being a piece of shit, you know, and I'm not being mindful. And I find it much easier falling into that trap with a parent, maybe because it's so close,
right?
Than with
because you're really comfortable with them. So like there's like almost like a deep knowing of like they're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm as comfortable with her as she is with me.
Yep. So she's probably doing the same thing.
Of course, we're both the same.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the reactions will always. It's always coming from a place of like that is probably due or related to a type of trauma or perspective or a belief system that is deep within you. Like maybe, what is a family without fights? Like, does that exist?
Yeah. And honestly, we don't really fight that much.
So argue or create fire or...
Well, that's just, I think because we're mischievous.
That's very...
We're mischievous.
You?
Yeah. Well, I'm not mischievous. But yes, I think we're mischievous people.
It can make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tasha Kredl. So this has been a mind-bending 2 hours and 37 minutes.
That's pretty good.
The trillions of listeners out there and all because this is the first podcast to be broadcast to the entire galaxy. Wow. Yes. And the entire fifth dimension. Isn't it amazing that you're on here?
I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Real pleasure to have you. Thank you for bringing your vibes. It's great to vibe with you in California. It's great to vibe with you in Montreal. It's a wonderful thing.
Anywhere.
Yes. So, and now in the fifth dimension. So let's let the listeners know where they can find you, where they can reap the benefits of your vibes, of your courses, of your I said courses,
Yeah.
whatever, your retreats. How can people find Tasha Kredl?
So I'm super active on social media, specifically Instagram. Actually, that's the only place I'm really active because I don't really like the other platforms. They're kind of boring.
Fair enough.
So Instagram is Tasha Kredl. So TASHAKREDL. I'm sure he's going to post it in the show
Yes,
notes.
the links will be in the bio and in the description of YouTube and in the podcast.
So Instagram, I'm very active there. My website is tashakredl.com. My podcast is called Your Expansive Self. If you just even put in my name, Tasha Kredl, you can find me on any podcast platform. It's all there. So lots of different really cool interviews, solo episodes. I talk a lot about my story, what I've learned, my experiences, and courses and retreats will always be posted on my social media for sure. I don't have an email list. I find them really annoying. And I just don't want it to be part of my business, to be honest. And I choose to have the belief system that I don't need one in order to be successful. Because that was a big thing. It's like, you can't be successful without an email list. And
That's very powerful because it's such a negative weight on my shoulders.
oh, dude,
and,
you really don't need it.
and the systems
It's so complex.
yeah, like it's like kind of math.
Yeah.
If you didn't send to this person, said that that's for this or bigger than that, and it's like,
Fuck that. I think your business will be exactly what you want it to be, and with whatever feels the best to you. And email list to me was not feeling good at all, and I'm like, no, that's a big no.
Because I read this book, Perennial Seller, and they said that Kevin Hart had that mailing list, and all these amazing people had their mailing lists, and then if YouTube disappears or Facebook disappears or podcasts disappear, and honestly,
agree.
if those things disappear, probably the world's gonna explode. So
Exactly,
fuck it.
exactly.
But if you're selling something, you probably have their email.
Yep, I do have their email, and
So you already have the list.
I have the list. Like I'm not like
you're just not
subscribe to my list and get.
I'm
going to
send you my books that I read.
Like if you actually want to follow me and like what I'm doing and what I'm sharing, like you're going to be on top of your game and you're going to see what I post. Like
you're going to be on top of your game. That's a woman who knows what she wants.
Because I have those clients, like the people who actually want to work with me, and I don't want to work with people who don't want to work with me. If they're not in a state of fuck yes, don't come.
Maybe I needed to hear this. Maybe it took 2 hours and 41 minutes to know that I don't need a fucking email list.
You don't. You really, really don't. To me, I was like, if everything is
How stressful is it to think about it?
Honestly, it was taking away from my need and want to share. And I was like, fuck that. Like, this is so heavy. And if I really, really, really need it at one point in time, then I'll just hire somebody to do it for me where I don't even have to look at it.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't need it to be successful. I don't. And I choose to believe that.
I love that. And honestly, that's really talking to my soul.
I love that.
I wasn't going to cry this whole podcast, but now...
But now we're talking about the feminine energy and emotions.
Now I'm feeling
Feel
it.
it.
I'm
Mick.
feeling it.
Feel it.
All right, Tasha Kredl.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
So beautiful.
Beautiful.
I love that. That's wonderful. The people know where to find you.
Yes.
My name is MISCHO. If you don't know, if you went through this entire podcast, Mick, MISCHO, Mish, whatever. MISCHO is my stage name. It's my fifth dimension name. My mother calls me that.
I love it.
I make music. That's what I do. This podcast is a way to do another favorite thing of mine is have great conversations with people.
Love it.
And you can find me at MISCHO, MISCHO, on everything.
Yep. Same with me, basically.
And that is about it for
That's
today,
about it.
fellow time travelers. So we do have we have a sponsor. We have a sponsor that I'll talk about real quick. There's a Smoke Show Hot Sauce is my first sponsor. And Smoke Show Hot Sauce, you can use discount code MISCHO and you'll get 10 or 15% off. I'm not sure. It's not... I didn't get the...
Can I have the sponsor too on my podcast?
As the Smoke Show?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So now
Awesome.
you have a sponsorship with Smoke Show.
Can't wait.
So we're going to set that up, and it's a delicious, lightly smoked jalapeno hot sauce. And they have a aioli. They have a barbecue sauce. They're sweetened with maple syrup. Oh, they're made in Canada.
Canadian maple syrup.
Amazing.
Wow.
You can go to smokeshowsauce.com. It's a wonderful thing. Bulletproof will be our sponsor in 2022.
See you soon, Dave Asprey.
Nike will be a sponsor in 2023. And was there
wait.
another funny sponsor I wanted to put? I guess that's it. All right, so I'll play some fade out music here.
Yay.
Song called Spaced Out. Here
Thanks
we go.
for having me,
Oh,
Mick.
thank you so much. This has been great. This has been fantastic. There we go.
Yeah.
See you later, everyone.